Hey there everyone, my name is Hitesh and I make a lot of coding videos. And in this video, I will walk you through that how we can use the power of AI both in writing the code as well as LLM models to build this next project. This is really fun project and I think right now is the best time to introduce this project because technology has taken a leap forward and especially in the world of images. And before we go ahead and do that, I show you the demo of it. I would like to introduce a small participation, or you can say a small challenge for all of you. It is really fun. So we're going to build this project and I'll walk you through each and everything that we're going to do in this one. Of course, we'll write the code with the help of AI as well. But what I want you to do is simply go ahead in the comment section, mention that you are participating in this challenge, take the screenshot and keep it with you. And by the end of this video, I will give you certain assignments to enhance this project a little bit forward on your own. And then all you have to do is take that enhanced project, that screenshot and post it on the Twitter and let us know about it. If you tag me or the Chai Code HQ, we are looking forward to give away 3 I Write Code t-shirt to anyone who is participating. No strings attached. The only condition is I can only ship in India as of now. So even if you're participating outside of India, that's fun because the least that you're getting out of this video is the knowledge and how to actually take the YouTube project, which a lot of people say, hey, these are all similar projects, but you can take this project and make it on your own, enhance it on your own. So that's really fun. Let me walk you through why I created this project and how you can also do that. Again, remember, in order to participate in this challenge, all you have to do is, first of all, comment in the comment section that, hey, I'm taking participation from wherever you are participating from. Like I would simply comment, I would be participating from Jaipur. You might be participating from Bengaluru, Chandigarh, wherever you are. So with this, let me take you onto the screen and first walk you through that what we are doing, how we are doing all of this. So this is a thumbnail maker and I'll show you why I have picked this project, and the tech stack of this project is pretty interesting. We are taking a FastAPI approach this time. So this is how our project looks like. A simple thumbnail builder. Yes, this is going to be a full stack project. I'll walk you through with the tech stack as well. Because it takes a little bit while to actually generate that, first I want to actually keep this in the queue for generating this. So I'll just upload the image. So I do have this one image. I guess it's on my desktop. This is the one which I just downloaded from Pixels. So I'll just go ahead and open this. Now I can choose one style of generating the image or the 2 or the 3. It will generate 3 of them. We'll support all of them with the queuing infrastructure as well. It's not a truly queue infrastructure, but it's decent enough to work on. So I'll just say that I am teaching Fast API. So create a thumbnail for the same and highlight Fast API. That's good enough. You can just write extended prompt. It will do better job in that. Now, once you go and do that, it click on create thumbnail. It actually takes your image, upload it onto Imagekit because that's a DAM and we need a DAM for this. In case you don't know about that, DAM is most important, the digital asset management. Without this, this project will cost you a lot of money. We don't want that. So once it is going that, now it has sent the whole thing from Imagekit and is sending every data to OpenAI. Why we are sending it now OpenAI and why it is taking 20 to 60 seconds or probably more, because OpenAI has just launched Image 2.0, which is definitely a leap forward in generating the images. I've been playing it around for really a good amount of time now, and I've realized there is nothing which is nearby to this ecosystem right now. So this is all the ChatGPT Images 2.0. And people don't really understand the superpower of it. All the images that you see here, they're all AI generated. Look at the quality and how good they are. This is all 100% AI generated. If AI can generate this high quality images, we definitely can take a leap forward in generating the thumbnails, and maybe later on designers can iterate over it and they just have to minor tweak the things. So look at this. All of this is AI generated. Can you even imagine this whole thing? Even getting anybody handwritten notes, designing the manga comics and different languages. Yeah, this is definitely a leap forward. So what we'll be doing is we'll be studying about the documentation, how it's being done. They have written a pretty good documentation. We'll be using Imagekit because it helps us not to generate too many images, but use some of the superpower of Imagekit and their URL transformation so that once the image is generated, we can modify this image into different aspect ratios. Maybe you want to post the same image on LinkedIn, on Twitter. So you don't need to regenerate the image because AI cost money. So we can use Imagekit for that kind of a thing. If I go back, it's still generating. It is definitely going to take some time till it does. I'll go back and I'll show you that what's happening with this thumbnail maker and what is the tech stack that we are following. So first of all, the interesting thing with this is FastAPI. I've been hanging out with the FastAPI for a really good amount of time now. In the past also I've worked with that, but this project, I thought let's do it with FastAPI, and the speed was incredibly fast in producing this entire project backend. And you will also realize that, oh, really nice. In case you have decent amount of Python knowledge, that's more than enough. I'll take care of the FastAPI with that. And on the front end side, we are connecting classic React with that. And we are not using anything more than React. It just all hooks. That's it. No Zustand, no Redux, nothing. Classic FastAPI that talks to the React ecosystem, and that's it. Now we also need a couple of more things to bring in the services. The first service that we need to bring in is OpenAI. Of course, to generate the images, that's the one dependency or one service that we have to write. Another thing that we have to write is Imagekit, because all of our images are getting uploaded first on the Imagekit. Otherwise, if anything goes wrong, our entire image could be lost, and we don't want that. We want to keep this image stored in our ecosystem. Imagekit works really well in this case. And also we are using Imagekit plus the inbuilt Imagekit AI power, which is given to you in the URL format. So I'll walk you through with that. And through this, we'll be storing our headshot that we are giving in the first, this line here. Oh, by the way, this is also here. So you can see this is the FastAPI image and the result is pretty good. And if I click on this, you will see that this is the image which is generated by the AI, entirely AI. But the image, rest of the image that you see like shorts and the square, these are all superpower of Imagekit. I don't have to regenerate this thing. And they have this autofocus mode as well. So it doesn't just randomly crop from anywhere. It detects the face. You can detect other things as well. And you can choose your focus mode so that it works there. And the square image is always great. So you can see all of this is going great. Surely we can generate more and get more creative on that. But I just wanted to give a proof of concept that things are evolving at a really, really fast speed. And this is all what we'll be building. So FastAPI. We'll be writing some services for OpenAI. We'll be writing services from some Imagekit as well. And you will learn how we can connect FastAPI with the React ecosystem. Also, there are some interesting things. The first and the foremost important thing that you'll be running is the SSE. Yes, we are using server sent events. We are not using polling in this one so that React doesn't have to call the backend again and again. Hey, give me some data. Hey, give me some data. We're using server sent events. So this is your time to understand and learn about server sent events in the FastAPI. Also, we'll be learning about the long running task. Generating the image, as you saw, it's really a long running task. And we're not actually holding the whole server while it's generating the image. We are making our server entirely free. And we can actually generate 3 images simultaneously. We'll design the architecture in such a way that even if one image fails, that's totally fine. Rest of the images will be saved in Imagekit so that user at least gets the 2 image out of the 3 if one fails or crashes. And this is a really fun and interesting project, but you might have noticed a couple of interesting aspects. First of all, there is no auth in this application. So there's no authentication. And spoiler alert, this will be one of the assignment to enhance this project. Also, the UI looks really, really bad. So go creative with the AI so that you can make this application much more fun. There are a couple of more assignments as well that I will walk you through as we go through while building this application, but this is going to be super fun. And one big thing which I would like to upfront mention in this one is we'll be using AI. We'll be using VS Code for this one, but we will be using AI to write a lot of code. And this is the way moving forward. We don't need to just write or type every single line of code. We just need to discuss a lot about the bigger picture, the architecture, and how each line of code will be there. We'll understand everything about it, but we'll not do too much of the manual writing. We will correct the AI wherever it is going haywire, but we'll be using AI for that. So fire up your VS Code, install any of your favorite AI extension that you love to use. I'll be using Copilot. That's all what we need, and that's it. in case you don't have any AI subscription or anything, I recommend you to get one. Anything, any cheaper free. There are tons of free out there in the market. Pick any one that you like. But what I want you to do is use some kind of that. In case you don't have any AI, then surely you can pause the video and write the code manually. In case you are very fresh or very beginner, that's okay. That's fine too. But I'm super excited with this, that how we can utilize the AI to build all of this and then enhance on top of this. Again, one thing announcement is this whole thing about shipping the t-shirt and all of this. This is for my own channel. If you watch this video somewhere else, because I'm planning to post it some places others as well, that t-shirt thing is not valid there. So please excuse me for that. I just wanted to encourage people to write code and participate in this. That's all why I'm doing it. Hope you understand the intention rather than just going mad over the t-shirt. That's all I'm asking you for. At least comment down in the comment section. I'm really looking forward and very excited to build this project with you. Let's catch up in the next section and initialize the first project in the FastAPI. Hey there everyone, welcome to the next section of the video. In this video, I want to quickly go through with the tech stack, that what all we are using and what all can be changed and modified, so that at least you understand the big picture, the architecture of this project. Let me take you onto the screen. It's really fun. It's actually super easy. The video will be super short, or this section will be super short. So let's go with the tech stack. tech stack. My bad. Okay, so the tech stack, the first and foremost tech stack that we have here is going to be the backend. The backend is a very important decision that you need to take, and you could have chosen any backend tech stack for this one, doesn't really matter. But since we are in the FastAPI ecosystem, for this video at least, or this whole section, we'll be using FastAPI for that. The reason for choosing the FastAPI is because it's literally really ridiculously fast. There's a small saying that I always say is that Java people believe that, hey, JavaScript is really bad. And JavaScript people think that FastAPI or the Python ecosystem is not that. Somewhat the reason is that they are not writing that much of verbose code. You don't need to write that much of verbose code. It just need to do the job well. That's all I personally believe. FastAPI allows us to write backend in ridiculous amount of short time that I was even surprised that, is it that's it? And you'll also be happily surprised. For the backend, we'll be using a relational mapper, which will be SQL model. There are other relational mapper as well, in which you don't have to manually write all the tables or all the interaction that you want to do with the database. For that, we'll be using SQL model. I know you might have your favorite one. Feel free to use that one as well. But SQL model is much lightweight, faster, and is having high compatibility with FastAPI. Even though if it is your first time with using SQL model, that's totally okay. I'll walk you through with at least the basics of it so that you feel comfortable with that. And for the DB, we are using SQLite. And yes, I completely understand. Some of you might be thinking, that's really bad. You should have used something like Postgres or Neon. Here's the fun part. Just change the URL. That's it. And that's the beauty of SQL model. You don't have to do too much of the things. Just a couple of changes, not even couple changes. One change, and that's it. You are completely comfortable with moving to Neon, Planet Scale, Superbase, whatever the DB or Postgres you want to use. Totally fine. I'm using SQLite. It's easier for me to show you the demos. Another thing that we'll be going through with that is going to be the front end. Now, a lot of people believe that front end needs to be very shiny. I don't personally believe it, just needs to serve the purpose. And for this, we'll be using the latest version of React. At the time of recording, it is React 19, but I guess React 20 would be almost the same. We are going with the foundation of the states and hooks, so that remains exactly same. We're not using any Zustand or anything for that. You can use that, but I'll keep things very easy and short. We'll be using Vite. We'll be creating a React project through the Vite. You don't need to worry about the bundler. We are not going in depth of that. That's totally fine and okay. And for the CSS, we'll be using plain CSS. And this is where one of the assignment comes in that, hey, please enhance the CSS. Maybe introduce Tailwind with that or something else. Use some library, whatever you want to do. And the next important core part of this entire project is the AI. And we don't have much of the choice for this. We'll be using OpenAI response AI. There are a couple of ways how you can interact and talk with OpenAI. The image2 model works with the response mechanism or response AI. And we'll be using one tool with that. In case you don't know, every single agent has some kind of tools that you have to call to do certain tasks. Our task is dependent on one such tool, which is image generation tool. So I'll walk you through how that tool calling works, and especially while calling the APIs of OpenAI. This is the interesting part where you learn about how to call AI based or LLM based AI APIs. So that's fun and interesting. So this tool have to nothing to worry. It's just an option that you have to pass on, but we need to understand what this tool is doing. We'll be doing that as well. Another thing that we need for this one is going to be our storage. You can call this one as CDN as well. That's also totally fine. For this one, we are using Imagekit because Imagekit gives us the option to upload, as well as uploading is obviously one of the feature which has to be there for the Imagekit, but we also use the URL based transformation. What it allows us is to just change few things in the URL itself, and that's it. You get the complete fresh image, so that you can see here a lot of transformation here is being given in the URL as well, and we can just go and work a lot on that. We'll see that part as well. So this is the most important part, I would say, and our headshot that we are giving it, we are also storing that in the Imagekit, so that later on you can provide some settings to the user that, hey, all these images are actually attached in your account, and for that we need authentication as well, authorization as well, and you can work. I'll show you the assignments later on. Once this is all done, the last part is we need some real time. I know real time is totally different, but this whole thing comes under the big picture of real time. Real time doesn't always mean just the sockets. It's a lot beyond discussion subject. We'll be using server sent events. We could have used polling here as well, but I thought polling is just basic. Let me teach you something really fun and exciting, which you'll be using in your real world project. So for that, we'll be using server sent events, also known as SSE. And I'll show you how FastAPI actually by default ships with the support of server sent event. So this is going to be our entire tech stack. Hope that is all clear. And this is all what we'll be doing. We'll be starting first with the backend. We'll complete the entire thing in the backend, and then we'll learn how we can control everything through the front end. So that's our strategy. And our backend will be calling the OpenAI, not the front end. Front end will just call the backend. It will do nothing more, nothing less. I guess I need to zoom out a little. You get the idea. I'll just remove this one. And our backend also will be interacting with the storage and image. That's also thing. And in the server sent events, your backend actually sends constant events to the front end. So our server sent events will send the events to the backend. And that's the architecture we are going to follow. We are going to work through with this. That is it for this section. Hope everything is clear. Now in the next video, we'll create a virtual environment for Python. We'll install specific versions of FastAPI, not just, hey, pip install FastAPI. No, not like that. We need specific versions so that project remains long-term accessible. And this is how you do in production. Let's catch up in the next section. All right, before we go forward, I would like to mention a disclaimer. I'm actually using a new keyboard. It's very small. No, I'm not giving you any affiliate link or anything. I'm just mentioning this because with the new keyboard, it happens that I make more typos than I usually make, and I make a lot of them. So just giving you a fun update on that part. Now let's go onto the screen and try to discuss that how we are going to take down this project. And of course, with a whole huge discussion around the FastAPI and the project architecture. We've already seen a few of the architectural components that are required for us or that are good for us for a discussion, but now it's enough. Let's go ahead and wire up the project. The way how I'm going to wire this project is I'll create a folder here, which will be backend. And similarly, we will have another folder, which is going to be frontend. It is going to be fairly easy with backend and frontend, but again, feel free to have them into separate repositories or something. Notice here, I'm actually making a mistake here. I'll remove this. Don't want it to be inside the backend. So I'll close this one. And then a new folder. This is where I want it to be frontend. Sounds good. Now, right click on the backend folder and make sure you open the terminal within that backend. So open the terminal or open the integrated terminal. Open this up. Now the step one is to create a virtual environment so that I can install the Python dependencies within that virtual environment, not the whole system itself. For me, I'll just say Python 3. You might be saying just Python in case you're on Windows. I want to use a module which is venv, which will install the virtual environment in the venv folder. Now, sometimes this might give you an error. You don't have to worry anything about it. Sometimes the process actually uh, unfinished escape. It does an unfinished escape. In this case, it doesn't, but sometimes it does. All you have to do is run this command again. That is all. That is all you have to do. So if you open this up, now you have this venv. That is okay. That is totally fine. What I'll do is I'll right click and create a new file, which is going to be main.py. We'll use it later on, but just want to have it so that I can close this env file and all of that. Sounds good. Now we need to also set up our virtual environment in this one. So we need to activate this. To do so, all we have to do is source, then go into venv. And inside this, you will find a bin and then activate. As soon as you do this, now your virtual environment is activated and you can go ahead and install the stuff. To install the stuff, I'll right click and create a new file. I'll call this one as requirements.txt. We'll be storing everything which is required as a dependency for this Python project. We'll just go ahead and install this. And in many cases, you are going to see that people go ahead and write these things, for example, just like FastAPI, which is still one of the best way in case you're getting started with the project, but this is not the ideal way you want to go with that. Every single FastAPI project or any project that you're working through has some kind of versions and all of that. In order to make sure that the project is long-term and stable, you need to provide the version number as well. I'll give you the version number that we are using for this project. So go ahead and copy paste this. This doesn't change anything. It just makes sure that project still works in the future whenever you're watching the video. Pretty simple, easy. Okay. We'll discuss about these dependencies as we go further. FastAPI and UVcorn are just our web servers we're working on. SQL model is our ORM. Python.env to load environment variables, and I will discuss more about them as we go further. Don't have to worry anything at all about it. Now, in order to install all of them, just open up your terminal, and probably I need to set up this. So there we go. Once my virtual environment is activated, I'll just go ahead and say I want to pip install, but I want to install from a file. So I'll just go ahead and say -r from the requirements.txt. If I go ahead and enter this, this will go ahead and install the Python package. And no, we are not installing it in global. So don't worry about the message. We're installing everything in the local repository. One more thing that you might want to do is hit Command-Shift-P or Control-Shift-P, and you have to select the interpreter in the Python. Now you might notice there are a lot of things that are selected. My interpreter right now is selected for the global, which is not the good one. I want the interpreter to be local for this code repository. So notice here the last one says /usr bin python. This is not the one. I want the interpreter path to be selected. So usually it gives me that, but this time it's not giving me. That's okay. The easiest way to do so, let me show you that, is first of all, let's clear the screen here. And then let's go into the backend folder, cd backend. And probably I need to open up the new one. And there we go. This is the regular terminal. So I'll go cd into backend. Now inside the backend, I need to go into venv, then bin. And that is the path where activate is living. So this is the path. And now I can do a pwd, present working directory, and this is the path that I need. I can go ahead and select this, enter the path, and I can just add this path and hit an enter. And now you will see automatically all these squiggly lines are gone. That means your VS Code is now selecting the correct interpreter, which is the local installation of this. And that's all you have to do. I know in case you have been learning for a while about these things, it sounds very boring, but these are essential things that we have to do. Now, next thing that we have to do is inside this backend folder, right click and create a new file, which is going to be .env. This is our environment variable. And this is the reason why we have installed, this is don't show again. We need a couple of entries or elements so that we can use them. So basically all your API keys, your URL for the backend connection, they all are kept in the environment variable so that they don't leak out. Now also, we'll be using AI for this application. So I'll give you a settings of AI so that you get also better suggestion. I'll be using the default VS Code Copilot for this one. Feel free to use any other that you have, nothing to worry. And press Command-Shift-P or Control-Shift-P and try open keyboard shortcut and select the JSON one. This is the command that I have added. Go ahead, take a screenshot or just copy paste this. I have given this many times in my other videos as well. So go ahead and paste this file. What it will does, it will give you the suggestions one line at a time so that we can go ahead and discuss this. Otherwise, it just shows the entire paragraph. Sometimes that's bad. I don't want it to be that way. So go ahead, pause the video and write this into this settings, which is your key binding settings. I'll show you that one more time. I know this is a little difficult. So Command Shift P, type open keyboard shortcut, hit enter, JSON one, not the default keyboard. You are not allowed to set that one. So enter that. You will find an empty array. You will find it something like this, empty array. Go ahead and paste an object inside this and these values. And then save this and escape this, and that's all. All right. Now let's go into .env, and we'll be needing a couple of API keys. The first one is going to be OpenAI underscore API key. And yes, they need to be exactly same. They are expected to this way. I'll show you how to grab the keys later on, but right now just go ahead and write this. Then I'll need one from the Imagekit. Imagekit actually gives you a couple of options for that. The first one that we need is private key. We'll set that one as well. I'll show you how to take that. Don't you worry about that. Then we need another one, which is public key. That we'll fill that later on. And we also need another one, which is Imagekit URL endpoint. These are our environment variables. Of course, OpenAI to call the image endpoints and these ones to store our images. I'll walk you through with those services as well later on, but this is the basic. Now, once you have done with this, right now I'll just add for all of them a simple value of chai. I'll go ahead and add this later on. The reason for entering these values is because I want to show you how these files are being loaded and how they actually work. So for this, in order to work this, we'll create a new file. I'll right click and create a new file. And this is usually known as configuration. So go ahead and call this one as config.py, of course. And the way how we do this configuration is simply load all these files. First of all, go ahead and import OS. Then go ahead and import we want to load this from the .env. So from .env, we want to import this load.env function. Now this function, you simply go ahead and load .env. It automatically loads the .env text file. Instead of loading this from the system environment variables, it loads that from the environment file. And now I can go ahead and say, hey, I do have this OpenAI underscore API underscore key. And I can get this. Hopefully the suggestions will kick in now. Hopefully OS dot, why no AI suggestion? They should be appearing up here, but anyways, I'll just check this. And let's see, quick settings. They are all working hopefully, but anyways, if they don't show up, that's also totally fine. We have the suggestions, regular one. And here what I'll do is I'll just provide the values of it. By the way, I have named this exactly same. So copy this, load this environment key, just write that. And if you just hover on this, this is what you want to get. So get the environment key and return none if it doesn't exist. So we can go ahead and pass on an optional second parameter to find or to put the alternative value. So I'll go ahead and do that. I'll put up an empty value. Later on, if I need, I can go ahead and find that value. We have 3 more of them. So in case the suggestions are not working, I'll copy this, paste this, paste this. Yeah, this is what I have to do when the suggestions don't work because I don't want to make a typo. Paste that, one more, bear with me. And there we go. Okay. So all these values are now loaded up. That is good. But we have one more thing to add up, which is our database URL. So in this configuration itself, we actually load the database URL. Now, in our case, the database is not coming up from something like Neon or Postgres, and that is totally fine. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and say database URL. And here we'll be using SQLite. So for this, we don't have to install anything. SQLite can be, it's a file-based system. So all we have to do is use // then in the current directory, I want to have a thumbnail builder.db. That's all you have to do. Now your database file is configured. All of these things are configured and everything is working. I'll probably do a reload of this window so that at least I get some AI suggestion, hopefully. And let's see. Yeah, now I'm getting this database suggestions. Good enough, but we have written the code. We don't want anything more. So this is your part one. You have understood that how the environment variable are important, how to keep them safe. We will fill up our environment variable a little bit later on, but right now we have this config py, everything good. This is all what we want to do in this section of the video. Your project is not yet done. It is just barely configured. We need some more stuff, but we'll do that in the next section or the next segment of the video. Let's catch up there. Next up, we want to do or we want to handle the models inside the FastAPI. The way to do it is one of the best way to do it is SQL model. I have discussed this many times in the past as well, but SQL model is one of the fastest way of building interactive models. And the best way is it is built on top of Pydantic. So you can use it as for just Pydantic work, or you can also use it as a relational mapper. That means to design the tables and migrate the tables, and all these works can be done. I'll show you how we want to actually take it down. So the way how we want to design our data models is, let's just say this is going to be our, let's just call this as model. In the model, we will have two of the things we have to worry about, or two entities we'll worry about. The first one is going to be thumbnail, and I'll show you what the thumbnails will actually hold in itself. But another one which we want to worry about is the job. Every time you send a request, we'll store that as a job to make our application more scalable in the future. Maybe later on you want to introduce a queue system, so you can store that job in the queue system as well. And the thumbnail is going to be pretty standard. Let me walk you through with what we really want to store in that. We'll have an ID inside that. It will also have a job ID, so we know that this thumbnail was created by this job ID. That is important. Then we'll also go ahead and store the style name. We'll have a couple of style names in our application like bold, modern, maybe Mr. Beast style and all of that. So we'll store that inside the thumbnail as well. We'll also have a status field. Every thumbnail is going to be in the status field by default of pending, but then it's going to be failed or done. So status is required for us in this case. We'll also go ahead and store the error message so that we know that while debugging, why this particular thumbnail got failed out of 3 and all of that. We'll also go ahead and have this created at a really obvious field to have the date time when it was created and all of that. Now we also want to have a relation with the job as well. So we'll go ahead and have this job as a relation. I'll walk you through in a second about that part, but this is all what we'll be doing. Now at the same time, we do have a job as well, which will also be pretty obvious. So we'll have an ID. I'll walk you through with a couple of interesting stuff about the IDs as well. You can use the default IDs, but I'll show you something interesting. Okay. We'll also go ahead and store the prompt for this particular job. This is very important for AI application so that you know what prompt was given and we can analyze that, debug that, and can improve that. We'll also go ahead and store the num thumbnail, which will be responsible for holding how many thumbnails were there. We are supporting between 1 and 3, so that's what we'll be doing. We'll also go ahead and pass on a headshot URL, which we'll be storing inside the Imagekit, but that's what is for us. We'll also have a status of the job, by default pending, but the job can be done or failed, same thing for there. And apart from that, we'll also have this created at. So that's the basic that we have. And of course, we'll have a relation with thumbnail. So we'll go ahead and have a relation there. So that's the basic of how we are going to work with that. I'll walk you through with the relations as well. But first, let's go into the models because that's the easy part. Let's create a new file inside this. Call this one as models.py. Writing with Python is super easy, and especially when you have AI enabled, it makes your life super easy. Let me show you that. So what we're going to do is from date time, we are going to import the date time as well as time zone as well. This is the one. Don't always trust the AI. Also look for what you really want to have. We're helping it as just a typing assistant. That reminds me, we also want to have that typing as well. So we are going to import optional as well as list. List, basic stuff. And once we're done with this, we also want to import the UUID. UUID is a very interesting thing in the database. We don't have to worry too much about the UUID, but in case you are storing this entire thing in a Postgres or something, don't forget to study about UUID v4, that is v7 actually, sorry, my bad, v7, which is very interesting. UUID has its own nuances of putting things into various pages. You don't have to worry too much about that kind of performance. but that's okay. Now here comes the interesting part of SQL model. SQL model is from, come on, I can write that. From SQL model, we are going to import all of these fields, which are field, SQL model, and relationship. These are the only thing you have to worry about. Now, as I mentioned, the UUID is an interesting field, but we want to store this in the database not as a UUID, but as a string format. Let's go ahead and write a simple method for this one. So we'll call this one as UUID. Let's just call this as UUID. That's it. It will return us a string, so that's nice. And all we are going to do is run the method UIDv4, which gives us a UIDv4, and we are going to wrap this around the string. That's all what we are doing. This is considered as a decently best practice, not the perfect one, but decently best practice. Feel free to use it just the regular IDs. SQL model provides you a way of having the regular ID, which is incremental in the case, so 1, 2, 3, and all of that. I just thought that this will be interesting. I'll go ahead and create another method for the helper one. So this one is going to be now. This is common practice everywhere. This is going to return us a date time. And we are going to simply say that datetime.now, we are going to convert this into the UTC time zone and then the date time. We can definitely use UTC time zone as well, but what it returns is not that usable, really honest. And date.time actually wraps this around so that it makes life much more easier. That's all what we are doing. By the way, I've discussed about this date time quite a lot in my Udemy course as well on the Python, but you don't have to worry too much on that part. It's pretty easy. Okay, let's go ahead and create some classes. The first one is going to be thumbnail, and it's giving us too much of suggestion. We don't want that kind of suggestion. So now what we're going to do is, first of all, we'll use SQL model and the table as true. The moment you add table as true, it actually creates a table for you. If you don't provide the table as true, then it simply go ahead and work as Pydantic. So we don't want that. So notice here now it is giving me a lot of suggestions. Let's see. The first one says string. Don't worry about too much of the suggestion. Just look at the first one only. Let me just go ahead and try to write that so that it gives me only that suggestion. No, it's giving me too many of the suggestion. I thought with my setting, which is open keyboard shortcut, it will give me just the one, but it's still giving me too many of the suggestions. I'll check that after this video. It was not supposed to happen, but AI is little out of control these days. All right. So notice here what happens. The default factory is underscore UUID. Whenever you provide a method of default factory, this is coming up from Pydantic. This gives you a reference to the method that we created, and we call this as a primary key. This is what we want to do. We want to have a primary key with that, and that's it. Now, rest of the things that we walk through in this one, these are the only things we are working and worried about. So don't go with the suggestions, at least in the database side. Let's go ahead and say job ID. This is not going to be, this anyways will act as a foreign key in the job ID, just like we discussed here. The job ID and the job relation will be there. So that's okay. That's good for us. Good suggestion, AI. And then we have the style underscore name. It doesn't know the field name that we want to have. It can be a string. That's fine. But we want to also have the field. Notice here index true. No, we don't want that. So we'll just go ahead and write that. This one is going to be default as empty. That's the one I want. Okay. After this name, a style name, we have status, error message, and created at. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. Status. This is going to be string, field, default is pending. Good enough. I'll take the suggestion. Then we have the error message. Error message and default is none. Good suggestion. I'll accept that. And then we have a created at, which is date time. And field default factory now good enough. Now we don't want updated at because we didn't mention this in our discussion. AI will keep on suggesting you. You don't have to worry about that. Just make sure that what you get, help it to write. Now that's the time we want to have us before it does all of that. Let me go ahead and write another class. And this one will be job SQL model table true. I'll just go ahead and write a pass for a second because I want to first complete this one. Now what I can do is I can mention that I do have this job, and this job is a relation which is back populates with the thumbnail. But I also want to typecast it a little. So this will be an optional job, and there we go. Now we will discuss about this one field, which is job optional and all of that. As of now, this line is incorrect. You might be wondering, what? You are writing incorrect with the AI? No, this is currently incorrect, but it will become correct in a few moments. So just wait for that. This is incorrect because whenever you write this back populates, that means there needs to be another field, which is not currently there. I'll show you that. But first, let's go ahead and fill up this. This shouldn't take much time. So we'll have the ID. It knows the suggestions and everything now, so should be giving us the better suggestion now. And then we will have the prompt. The prompt is going to be a string. Default field is empty. Good enough. We will have num underscore thumb nails, which is an integer. Field default is 1, but I want to add more because we are restricting the user between 1 and 3. And this is where you need to control the AI. People who just mindlessly write AI, they just make mistake. Don't do that. You know that you are having some restriction that we want to have a minimum of 1 and the largest of 3 thumbnail that we are supporting. So add things like we want a greater than 1, that's obvious, but not less than or equal to 10. We are not supporting 10. Don't work on the AI all the time. Control the AI, that's the whole thing now. Then we have this headshot URL. This will be coming from Imagekit, but later on. As of now, this is all good. So headshot URL fields default good, looks good. After that, we have this status, which is pending by default. That's good. And we have this created at, that's good. Now here comes the thing. The last line that we mentioned, this also needs to have this thumbnails, which is list thumbnail relationship back populates to the job. Let's discuss about this because if we understand this one piece of line, this piece of line becomes obviously easy. Let's go ahead and dive deep in each word that it's saying. First of all, this is a relationship. This relationship keyword is given to you by SQL model. And this is a type hint. First of all, this optional is coming up from the type hint, so typing. And this field can be an optional field, but if this field is present, the job will be a job object. That means this type of, so this class will represent. So if it is optional, that's fine. But if it is there, it always needs to be of type job, which we are mentioning. So that's our forward reference. So if it comes, this is the forward reference that we call this as a forward reference. Then the relationship, this is a kind of a model or a class. It is given to you by this SQL model or technically by SQL Alchemy. But we don't talk about SQL Alchemy. We talk about ORM models here. That's it. Now here's the interesting part, which is back populates. This is the most interesting and important part. It links this relationship with the opposite side in the job model. So basically what it's saying that somewhere in your job model, if you're marking this as back populates to thumbnail, that means it will return back here in the case. And in case you're writing this for the very first time, that's okay. Let me explain this more to you. Don't worry, I'll not leave you without making sure you understand this piece of code. So this relationship is actually a kind of a back propagation, not back propagation, that's wrong. Let me write that here because I think this is where things will become much more easier to understand. So in your regular SQL, there will obviously be a case where somewhere or some part of the life, you'll write something like this, select everything, maybe you want to do that, from job. So we are selecting everything from job where ID equals to, and you mention the ID as thumbnail dot job ID. This is what we are doing. Just to give you a refresher, remember this job ID, that's what we are here. So sometimes in your code, you want to have this more information about the job or you want to get something in the reference. Basically, it's one job can have many thumbnails. So you want to select all those jobs where you are writing some of the basically you get the idea. So select star from job where ID equals to thumbnail.job. So you're selecting that job which has produced all the thumbnails. But with this line of code, this relation, what SQL model allows you to do is simply say job, and then I can just say dot thumbnails. That's all. So behind the scene, it writes exactly same, but this is easy. This is much more easy. You can just say a job.thumbnails, and similarly, same query, if you write otherwise, you can just say thumbnails.job. This will make our life easier. We don't have to write select star from all of that. And that's what the ORM does. it gives you this ability to have this kind of feature. Basically, it says one job can have many thumbnails, and that what it does, it actually connects them. It's a one-to-many relation in this case. Pretty simple, pretty easy. And I totally get it. For the first time when people see this bag populates, they see like, what is this even going on? Just to make sure that it is easy for you, just understand that if you just write the relationship, that's a one-way relationship. Once you put the bag populate, that means anytime from thumbnails you can get job, and from job you can get thumbnails. That's all. That is all it does. I know, bit of interesting piece, but yeah. So make sure spend enough time. This is the first time probably you're writing this kind of models, but that's how you learn. Everybody learns that way. You see the topic for the first time, you did a more research about it, and that's it. You get professional in that. So that is it for this particular segment. Let's move on to the next segment. The next part that we're going to do is relatively very easy, which is setting up your database connections. Usually what we do is not in the front end. Usually we do in the backend, create a new file, and let's call this one as simply database.py. This is one of the most easiest file in the FastAPI. And in fact, if you look at Mongoose or Drizzle or any of the ORM framework, they make life super easier, and so does SQL model. Let me show you that. So what we're going to do is from SQL model, we're going to go ahead and import SQL model, create engine, and session. You're always going to need that. This is like go-to way to work with them. Once we do that, we also need some database URL that will come not directly from env, but from our config file. So we'll say from config, we're going to go ahead and not import the settings, but actually the database URL. This is where you don't trust the AI. Now the step one is to create your engine. If you just trust the AI suggestion, which looks good, but it will fail in our case. So create engine is the method which is given to us by SQL model, which create an engine to interact with the database. The database URL is the first thing that you always should provide. Then the echo true means it will give you all the queries as the SQL as well. We probably don't need it. If you need it, that's okay, but we probably don't need it. So we'll call it as false. But in case you want to see all the queries, how they are written in SQL, you can just enable it. But one thing where things get interesting is this connect args. And what we want to do is in this connect arg, we want to pass on this check same thread as false. You don't have to do this in case you are getting connected with something like Neon or any Postgres database, because this is what something which is SQLite limitation. So by default, the SQLite says one thread only. They don't share connection in the SQLite. But frameworks like FastAPI, they use multiple threads. So this is very important for us. And usually AI will not give you suggestion on that. So rely on your knowledge as well. Then after that, we simply go ahead and say we want to create tables. So for that, it's a simple mechanism for create tables. Use SQL model.metadata, create all engine, provide an engine, and that's it. It will go ahead and create engine. Now you also have to govern when the FastAPI first runs, you have to create all the tables if they don't exist, but that's okay. For working with the SQL or working with the FastAPI, you have to interact with a lot of tables. And in order to interact with a lot of tables, you need a database session. So we'll create a method which will give us with database session, not all the time, it yields a session. So that means when we want one, it gives us that only. And it's a very standard approach as well. You'll find that in everywhere. So get sessions, all we have to do is with sessions as engine, as session, it is just like opening a file, yield the session. So remember, this yield is very important. You will find this in every code base. That's why the suggestions are always good. You just yield the session. Don't just produce the session all the time. When it's needed, you give it that. And that's it. That is it, all the database connection that you have. Told you, it's super fun, super easy. Let's move on to the next section now. Now we are going to go ahead and write services for different work in our application. And this is the standard way of writing in the FastAPI. You create services where all of the core business logic lies, and then you can call them easily through the routes and other pieces of the code. So that's the standard way. Let me go ahead and close all of this, and we'll create a new folder in the backend. We will call this one as services, of course. You get the idea. And now inside the services, let's make it a module. So first file will be underscore, come on, write that. Let's create a new file one more time, and this will be underscore underscore init underscore underscore dot py. We don't write anything in this. This is just there to make any folder as module. Now we'll have a couple of other services in this. We'll take them one by one in the section. The first one is going to be Imagekit service. So let's call this one as Imagekit service.py. You don't have to append this with underscore service, but I found it easy, so I just do that. Super easy. Now, in order to work with Imagekit, I have already installed the Imagekit as this one, Imagekit.io. Go ahead and do that. Now, a couple of interesting stuff about Imagekit. Imagekit is actually a foolproof way of building any upload service, whether you're uploading images, videos, whatever. And you will see by looking at the code that you probably don't even need AI for this. First, go into developer section. You will find your URL endpoint just right there. You will find your public key and the private key just right there. In order to get your private key, you have to add the password of your account, and that's it. Copy this, copy this, copy this. Come back here, paste it here. And that's it. Is that a problem? I hope that is not a problem. Now, once you're done with this, then you can see they have a whole lot of code for almost everything. If I go into the Python and look for this, notice here, this is the basic that they give that, hey, this is what you are going to require. Pip install Imagekit.io and get this private key and everything. We'll do that. But what I want to show you is you can click on this Python here. It will open up a new page for you. Pip install Imagekit. I'm sorry about the light mode. It is there. Can't do anything. Okay. Then go ahead and simply say this is a quick start where you go ahead and do and have all the endpoints. And this is how you upload a file. That's it. And by the way, the upload a file is this much of the code, not even a print statement, this much of the code. It simply says imagekit.files.upload, provide some optional parameters, and that is it. Told you, it's super easy. Now let's take this entire piece of code and write it, and AI definitely helps a lot in that because AI also has seen this kind of boilerplate code many times. So we'll go ahead and say from Imagekit.io, we are going to go ahead and import the Imagekit. We need some things from the config, so don't need settings from that. I need Imagekit private key, and probably we'll need the endpoint as well. So we'll need the Imagekit URL endpoint. Imagekit URL endpoint. Come on, give me that. There we go. Don't need anything else. Then we simply need to have an Imagekit object, which will be created from the Imagekit itself, which has this private key as the property. Make sure you provide the Imagekit private key there. Don't need anything else. So just remove that. Come on. AI, come on. Copy that. Paste that. There we go. All done, all good. Now let's go ahead and create a simple method which says upload. We'll not call this one as upload image. Let's call it as upload file because we might want to use it later on as well. Now don't use these suggestions because they sometimes do overwhelmingly a lot of job. We don't want that. The first thing that we need is going to be file bytes. We may support the bytes. You can support the bytes. You can upload directly as well. That's totally okay. But we'll do support the bytes, which will be of type bytes that is given to you. There we go. Apart from that, we also need a file name. So whoever is going to use this service will provide me a file name. And we can also have the folder as a string format. Somebody will give me the folder as well. And we'll not go with that. We also want to have content type as well. Content type. We are restricting this content type to be of string format, but not only any string format. That will be a restrictive as image slash, we'll go with the PNG. You can go with the JPG and other types as well. That's okay. And then we have this string. I'm not going to write this much of the text for this one. I'll just write a shorter one. Again, this is bad. Come on. AI is troubling me a little. Enter that. We don't need this. Enter that. Come on. Too much of AI. Probably I need to disable that, but I'll not do that because that's the part of life. Upload file to Imagekit and return the URL. Or better, return the CDN URL. Once you have controlled the AI this much that, hey, this is exactly what I want, it does a better job. And redirect it that I want a result. And this is what I want. File. Now notice here how better the suggestions are. File will be, while uploading the files, oh my God. There's again a issue in that. This is not what the method actually is. The method is imagekit.files.upload. Oh man. Shouldn't be happening with the AI like that, but imagekit.files.upload. And now the suggestion hopefully will be better. So we will have the file as the file bytes. That's why I say always enable the tab suggestion, which only selects one line, not more than that. Otherwise you will be back and forth with too many things. That's what so file will be file name, and we can also provide more information on this. So this can actually be better. How it can be better, because they suggest it. You can actually have the whole path here as well, but you can provide more options as well. Hopefully AI will give me. There we go. We can provide the file bytes, file name, and the content type. Yeah, that's the one I want. There we go. Told you, controlling the AI is really, really difficult. We'll also provide the file name will be the file name. Then we need the folder will be folder. Anybody who's using will provide me that. And we'll also say is private file. This one will be false because we'll be using it. And then it also has the option of use unique file name. We'll turn it on as true. That's it. Once we are done with this, all we have to do is return result response. No, not like that. This was an old method. I can just go ahead and say dot URL. That's it. And if you notice here, this is what we have, the response URL. So still you have to go through with the docs, but AI helped me to reduce my typing. That's all. Now we'll also create one more folder because Imagekit has this superpower of transforming any of the file in different shapes. They actually provide you this whole URLs of image URL, client upload, webhook verification, and this is the one, image transformation. So this is what they do. You can actually have any image as imagekit.io, then you can provide demo, whatever the folder name. TR is for transformation, that you want a width of certain height of certain height, and you can provide more features as well. You can provide the aspect ratio, and they have good, nice examples all available here. So go ahead and read that. I do have this one. So notice here, they have this ch width, ch DPR, save data, and all of that. So they give you nice examples as well. So we'll create a simple method, which will be to get variations of that, get variants. Somebody will provide me a base URL for this one, and which will be a string. We will return the dictionary as that. So that is good. Now here, what we are going to do is not that, enter that. And what we need is return 3 sizes of the image. Let's write that variant URLs using Imagekit transformations. And there we go. It says the base URL transformation and all of that. That is also great and okay, but I do have a better version. So let me paste that. It's exactly same. All I'm doing is saying that the transformation width is going to be 1280 by 720, 1080 by 1920, and 1080 by 1080 for the square variant. And we'll say that maintain aspect ratio, and the focus is going to be auto. So automatically wherever the face is there in the image, it will focus on that part because I think that's important for sharing the social media, and that's it. Congratulations, you have written your Imagekit service. Told you. What we have done technically is, let me just go back. We have just written this piece of code. That's it. Now call it written by AI or call it as that you have written it. It's just the same. So let's catch up in the next section. Now that you know that how to handle the images through the Imagekit, now let's focus on generating the images. Now generating the images, we want to do it via the Image Engine 2, which is recently just rolled out. And by the time I'm recording this video, it's just one day ago. So this is what we want to use. And mainly we want to focus on this one where the image is 2. Previously it was GPT image 1, but now this is GPT image 2. This is what the one we want to focus. Now the only issue is it's not going to get suggestion in the AI because it's just freshly out and it has no idea, no context of how it works. So the best part is it's not that hard to work with that. These are basic import statement. We don't have to worry about it. We'll do the imports through our way of FastAPI. After that, we simply have this client.response.create in which we have to provide a model, and feel free to provide the model Although I've seen 4.0 is also decently okay, but if you want to pay more money, GPT 5.5 is the best way to go for. It will generate better images for sure if you use this model, but it will be tiny bit more expensive. Then comes the tool part in which the type is image generation, but we have to provide a bit more on that. Now, once we are done with that, then we have to also write the code for save the image to a file. So go ahead and work with for output and response output. And if the type is image generation, then we simply go ahead and save this image through the base64 decode. So basically, this is the piece of code that is responsible for saving the image. And that's it. Let's see how much AI is able to help us in this case and get your API key as well. So let's right click and a new one, and we'll call this one as simply OpenAI. This is OpenAI service. So let's just call this one as OpenAI service.py. First couple of important thing is we need base 64. So that is not an option. AI, especially the OpenAI, works with the base 64. As we saw in the docs, everything is base 64. So we are required with that. By the way, make sure you turn it into Python. Otherwise, you'll get the different suggestions. Once we're done with that, we also have imported the OpenAI. So we'll go ahead and say from OpenAI, we want to import async OpenAI. So notice here, this is the one we want because this is a long running task. We don't want to keep anything busy. So async OpenAI is the best one here in this case. Then we also have this config, and we're going to import OpenAI API key for that. That's the basic import statement. The next step is to create a client, and that will be created using async OpenAI and provide the API key in that, which will be OpenAI API key. That's it, basic, nothing to worry about that. Then we'll go ahead and define a simple method for this one. Let's call this one as generate thumbnails, or generate image is also a good name in this case. Thumbnail, and don't worry about the suggestion. I know it goes too much of that, but it's okay. For our case, the most important part is first of all the prompt. We will give our prompt as well, but we'll take prompt from the user as well to modify that prompt a tiny bit. Then we will also have our own prompt that will be given in this case. So our own prompt that we'll write and hard code into some other file later on. So this will be best case in that. And we'll also provide a headshot URL. Headshot URL. This is the URL that you saw in the first demo. I was uploading my own photo. That's exactly the headshot URL. So anybody who is using this service needs to give me this whole thing as a parameter. It will give us a return in the bytes format. You can actually technically get a string as well, but I think I'll get the bytes because that's the one given in the AI docs as well. I'll show you more options in that. Don't you worry. And now we can just go ahead and craft this thing with the string. I already have a string, so don't want to just waste your time with that. Let me go ahead and paste this so that you also get the idea. So this is use the response API with ChatGPT image 2. This is most important here. As a built-in image generation tool, pass the headshot URL directly as an input image, returns a raw PNG bytes. This is the method. Once you write this, then we have to create a prompt because remember, the prompt is also going here. This is the input where we will actually inject the prompt. So this is required. Let's craft our prompt first. So this will be a full prompt, and the way how we are going to get the full prompt, not like that, is we'll have this one. There we go. So first formatted string that we have in this case is going to be the style prompt that you have given me. And once I have this, I'll just add a /n, couple of them, so that we have a new line. Then in the next line, I will again have one more. And this is, by the way, you will craft or draft an entire prompt in the production environment as well. So this is user request if user has added something extra. So this is going to be the prompt, nice and easy. And then we don't need to pass on a headshot URL. It will automatically be done. But that's it. In this case, what I've noticed in especially the prompt case that you can actually add an important instruction, and especially OpenAI is actually very, very helpful in working on that. So in this case, when I was building this application, I noticed that if I provide this important instruction that says the generated thumbnail must prominently feature the person, shown in the previous reference headshot photo, keep their likeness accurate. Once you add this particular prompt and everything, it makes life a little easier. But again, this is trial and error. You may want to have it, may don't want to have it. So this is the preparation. After that, we need this part of the code. So just go ahead and copy this or make it AI generated, whatever feels good to you. So this is what we have. And again, yes, we have copied it right place. So this is the client response.create, in which the model is right now GPT 5.5. Feel free to do it. When the time I was preparing this project, the model was not this one. So I'll just fall back to the model which I designed this. But once we are done with the building, I will definitely test it out for the latest version. It will cost me more money, but I'll do that. The input is where we don't want to get the input just like this. As the example tools, we will definitely talk about this, but this input is a little bit more craftier in our case. So just go ahead and remove this, hit an array. Yes, input, you can provide this array, and as you can see, suggestions are there. We don't want to rely on that. The first object that we want to pass on here is going to be the role. So let's just say, what is the role that we are getting? This one is not system. This is the user. You can provide a system role as well, that, hey, you are a designer, all of that. Don't want to worry on that part. After that, we simply want to have the content. Oops, need to have this in the courts content, and we'll provide the full prompt as well, but that is not the only case we want to provide. So whenever you want to provide more stuff, because the headshot URL is also there, use the array, and inside the array we'll provide the first method. Let me expand this a tiny bit. Nope, not good. So there we go. The input image is headshot URL and the type is full prompt. That's why I love AI. There we go. That's all what we need. So basically, whenever I'm providing the content, I'm providing, hey, there is an input image, which is you will get in the headshot URL. And this is my entire prompt so that you can generate this. But this again is not going to do the job properly. You also need to come back into the tools. Since we have copied this directly from the actual documentation, that's why it is giving us this image generation. But we can actually modify it a tiny bit more. Let me show you that part as well. So once you are done here with the type of image generation, this is the first parameter. Usually it can be anyone, but it is the first thing you should worry about. And after that, oh, my bad. It should be like this. Yeah, there we go. Life much more easier with this. All right. After that, we want to provide a model as well. So notice here, model is GPT image 2. This is a clear-cut instruction that, hey, I don't want to use any other model. I just want to use this specific tool. I can go ahead and provide the size as well. There we go. By default, it is 1024 by 1024. But if you want, this model is actually capable of generating high images, high quality images as well. So I'll go ahead and say that it is going to be high quality. But again, this is trial and error. Nothing is for sure in this one. And you can also mention the quality as well. So it can be standard, but I don't want the standard. I want high. I'm ready to burn more tokens on that. And this is mistake. There we go. Love AI for fixing these things. And then I want to have output format as PNG. So we have clear-cut, precise instruction that what we want and how we want it. And that's what you do in the AI. All right, so this part is all good. We have generated the image and all the response and everything is all good. Okay, looks good. This shouldn't be here. This should be here. We can actually define the max token as well. That is also fine. And I think this whole thing should be indented a little to make life easier. Now we can shrink them. So the tool is shrinked, the input is all shrinked, and we have whole model and everything can be shrinked. So there we go. Nice and easy. There we go. But the job is not done yet. This is the tool calling that we have done. But in order to make sure that this works, still there are a couple of things which are missing. First of all, it's going to take time. So await needs to be there. That's why we have this async method, and it definitely takes a whole lot of time. Yeah. And once this is all done, then we need to actually find the image in the generated data. So this is the image that will help us to do so. The easiest way, I think AI will help us much, much better in this case. So the response will contain base64 PNG image. We don't need that. So for item in response, don't go with the suggestion in this case because it's different for us. The output, and we don't need this much of the things. We can just say if item dot type is actually equal to image generation call. Yeah, literally it's that one. Here it is. Image generation call. This is the one we are looking for. If this is the type that is there in the call, then what we can do in this case, we have to check one more. If item has results, so result, suggestion is really bad in this case. Then we can simply say that, hey, just go ahead and return me. Yeah, this one is hopefully correct. base64.base64 decode item. Oh man, you're almost there. Item.result. Don't want image data and all of that because this is what is being said to me. Base64 image. This is the image data. That the first one. You can use this one as well. I found this one to be working in my case. And if all of this is not working great, then in this case, I can just raise not a value error, but this can be a simple runtime error, no image generation in this response. And that's it. It looks like a lot because we had a lot of discussion, but as you will see that eventually the AI will catch up and will provide you better type suggestion, but this is all we have to do. And technically what we have done is from line number 23 to line number 45, this is the whole configuration that is responsible for generating the image. Keep an eye on line number 24. When you are working with the project, you might want to change it to the latest model, which works way better than this model, but it costs money as well. And that's it. That is it. You have written the service to handle AI. Make sure you keep an eye on this async OpenAI because this will be important. And that's it. That's it. You have written, told you, Python is so easy and so fun to work with that you have just written a service which calls OpenAI, gets the image, writes the image back into the base64 and does your job. That's it. Let's catch up in next segment. The next service that we're going to write in our application is going to be tiny bit tricky, not because it's tough, it just involves a lot of steps. But again, rest assured, you will understand each and every bit of it. Let's call this service as generator because this is actually responsible for generating everything and we'll be interacting with database as well. So I'll write that into two parts or two sections. The first one is we'll definitely need async IO for this one. So that's okay. We'll also be importing the logging for this one. Remember, we installed logging as well just to have some nice loggers in our terminal, makes our life a little easier. We will also go ahead and say from SQL model, we are going to import session and we'll also need select. Select is just like a select statement of SQL and session provides you a session so that you can interact with the database and leave the session once your work is all done. After that, we will be needing engine. So from database, go ahead and import engine, very standard stuff. And from models, if you remember, we do have import. One is job that we have in the model and another is thumbnail. We have just two options in relatively easy. And from services, we have this services. Remember the service, we do have services. Yep. In the services folder, we have a couple of services. The first one is Imagekit. The second one is OpenAI. We will need actually both of them. So let's first grab the OpenAI service. And from this, we are going to import the generate thumbnail. Don't trust on AI suggestion in this case. Otherwise, you'll be keep on hunting. Hey, what's wrong in this? So services dot storage service. I don't know where it is getting all of this. Imagekit service, we want to import the upload file. So that's the one. Now logger also needs a tiny bit configuration and this auto suggestion always works because that's the only thing you have in this case. All right. So that's it. We don't want to import async io.log. We do have a logger installed. So I think that should be okay. That should be okay. We'll see that later on. Now I have this one thing in my clipboard. I want to copy paste this. This is the styling. Again, this is just a text, nothing to worry. Don't worry about, oh, I have copy pasted. Don't worry on that. I have few styles like bold and dramatic, clean and minimal, vibrant and energetic. This is your prompt engineering. The better you write the prompt, the better it will be. So what kind of style that you want to incorporate in this application, just go with that. I will also need a helping style order so that I can just go ahead and extract these information nice and easy. So notice here the AI suggestion is helpful, bold and dramatic, clean and minimal. Make sure they match with this key so that I can just look into this array, get you are looking for one or two, one, two or three, and can expand this into the prompt that I have written. That's it. Now here comes the interesting part. I'll just write the pseudocode first, then we'll write the code together because this is a bit of a longer function that we'll be writing. So we'll be having an async. This will be a simple generate single thumbnail. And don't worry about too much that's going on too much. We just need a few things so that we know exactly that we need a thumbnail ID, we need a prompt, and we need a headshot. That's all what we need when we are generating the thumbnail. And I'll show you how it is interacting with the database. Right now, just remember, we are writing services, not the actual logic that will come in the routing and all of that. So for this, I'll say that I need thumbnail ID. Somebody who's using this service will provide me a thumbnail ID in the string format, will provide me a prompt. I can enhance that prompt later on, but this is the prompt. And we'll also need a headshot URL. Headshot URL, which will also be a string. All right, nice and easy. Now, what do we get return in this? We'll not worry about that as of now, but first, come on AI, you can just be quiet for a second. So I can just go ahead and say, where is the snooze button? Quick settings. Yeah, just snooze for a second, 5 minutes at least. So what do we want to do here? If we don't write our pseudocode here, it will be very difficult for us to work on. So we have taken the input of thumbnail ID, the string, prompt, and headshot URL. That's okay. The first one is we want to have a DB mark. So let's write the comment here. So we want a DB connection, and in the DB, we will mark things as generating. We know that this thumbnail is there in the process queue. We will work on process queue after this, but imagine somebody has done with the process queue. So extract this thumbnail from the DB and mark it as that, hey, we are generating this. Once we are done with the process of marking this as generating, then we want to do AI call. This will help us to get the image. Once we are done with this and we have got the image, then the next stuff is we will upload this image. On the Imagekit, we will call the services to upload the image with all of this. Then again, we will do a DB call. And this time we will DB call, we will save the URL and we will mark as uploaded. And in the case we will have errors and other stuff, we'll do that. So this is the important part. You need to understand what we are doing in this entire service. So again, reminding you, repeating this again, get the ID. So this is the thumbnail ID we will extract from the DB itself. Then we simply go ahead and do the AI call. We'll do the upload this image in the image service, and then we do the again a DB call to mark this URL and everything. This should be very simple or very familiar. First, let's do the first comment part. How do we call the DB and mark this as generating? Should be fairly simple. We can just call this with session, and we'll provide the engine to this session as well. Again, AI, no AI doesn't really matter in this case. This is really super simple stuff. Once we are with the session, that means our session is connected. This session can help us in getting the data. So .get method is there. Which model or which table you are looking for? I'm looking for the thumbnail, and the data that I'm looking for is the thumbnail ID. Once you have grabbed that, let's call this one as thumb. There we go. Nice and easy. Now I can extract any data out of it. For example, the one data that I want to update inside the thumb is the status. I want to mark it as generating. It would be better if I use any enums, but in this case, that's fine. You understand the part. I will also get a variable name, which is style name. So whatever user has selected, that is already put up in the database. So I want to get that value, and I'm just storing that in the variable. How can I do that? Simply thumb dot, and we do have a style name. We are storing that. Once I'm done with this, that's all what I want to do. So I'll just go ahead and say add thumb. So I've added the updated information, and I want to just commit this session.commit. And that's it. First part is all done. This is what the DB call and generating. I hope that's not too tough. Now, once this is all done, I have this variable style name, And what I want to do is once I have this thumbnail and all of that, I would like to have my style prompt. So before we go ahead and do this, I will come back here. I will have this style prompt, and this will come from styles order or just the styles. Which key I'm looking up for? The key which is style name. That's it. So this is style name will be available to me here. Should be okay, should be fine. So with this styles, I am providing the key. So whatever you're storing in the database like bold and dramatic or clean and minimal, you can just go ahead and work with that. Okay, now how do we do the AI call? Now AI call can actually fail, so we'll prefer to have it in the try catch block. So we'll have a try. I'll write a pass for this one for a moment. And then again, this could be written later on as well, but I'll just write this exception as E, and we'll write a pass. Pass is my favorite keyword here. Okay, we'll do the logger and everything later on, but first, how do we generate the image? So AI call. Remember we wrote a service previously about this. This is generate thumbnail. Yeah, that's the one we want to use. So here, let's try to use this. What do we need to provide this? First of all, the prompt. We do have prompt. So prompt is going to be the same prompt. Remember the prompt we are taking? Yep, we are passing that one exactly. We do have the style prompt as well. So style prompt, we can mark it as equal to, but this is the one we need to give. And we also need the headshot URL. Headshot URL, we're calling this same as headshot URL, so we can just mark it as it is. Now, once this is all done, this will definitely take a lot of time. We'll await that. And once this is all done, we'll get an image byte. Remember, our application is giving us the byte in return, and our AI seems to have kicked in. There we go. So this is our image byte. Once we have the image byte, we need to store that in we have to upload the file as well as not just upload the file. The way how we are routing the structure of keeping everything in the file, we are marking this. Let me show you that how I'm keeping them. So if I go back up here in the media library, don't want to have this in the thumbnail URL. If you open this up, each of this is having a unique ID. And if I open this up, then I get this. So basically, whatever is your job ID, I'm storing in that folder. Again, your area could be different. Your style of saving could be different. But in order to get that file path entirely, I need a job ID. I can only get the job ID with the session. Yikes. So I have to again connect with this. So no problem. You can do that as many times as you wish. So with sessions as session engines, there we go. Don't need too much. I just need the thumb. So session.get thumbnail with the thumbnail ID, that is all good. But after that, I need, oops, not that. Come on, don't do this. What I need is job ID. So job underscore ID, that will be given to me by thumb job ID, and that's it. But I'll not close the connection as of now. Once I've done with this, now I want to transform the URL. That's what we need. So we will use the service, which is upload file. And why are you giving me upload file response? Yeah, this is just upload file. Yay. So we'll get this upload file. And all we have to do is just like this and fill up all the details that we have. So first of all, this file bytes, which is image bytes, we are receiving that. Super simple. Then we have file name, which will be job ID, then the thumbnail ID. This is how we are keeping it, but I'm not keeping it like that way. I'm just keeping it as get me, the file name will be just the thumbnail ID because that's going to be my folder. So thumbnail ID.png, because we are storing that as PNG, otherwise it will give me a nasty error. And we have the folder path, which is going to be /thumbnails/job ID. This is my way of storing the structure. Your could be different. Once we have this, we will get a URL as return out of this. Remember, we are throwing that in the service. Okay. Now, once we are done with this, we again need one more session. Yep. So this is part all done because remember, we are not saving anything. We just wanted to have the session and everything being done. We need another session now. So this is basically upload of the image. So I'll shift that. You get the idea. This is upload of the image. So I'll just cut this out and we'll move this comment here. So this is the upload image. Okay, now last thing, which is the DB call. So let me move this. Oops. Oops, what I have done. There we go, upload image. I can cut this out. This is where we are working on. So we need another DB session, and this time we will have the URL. So we need to actually save this entire thing in the DB and then commit and save. Should be fairly easy, especially with the AI. So let's hit the tab, session as session. We will get the thumb as thumbnail ID. Looks okay. And then with the thumb dot, oh, that's bad. That is bad. We don't have a URL. We have Imagekit URL. Let me check that in the models. So the thumbnail will have, okay, thumbnail needs to have a URL. Where is thumbnail URL? Are we not storing it? Let me quickly check that. Oh yes, my bad. We are not storing anywhere the URL. I'm pretty sure you might have caught that already. This is really, really bad. That's why I say AI code needs one more human eye. So in this case, we will need an Imagekit URL, which can be an optional field. Default is none. That is good, but this is required. Save that and now come back in here. And what we need in this generator to have this one. So Imagekit URL, that will be URL that we just got above. We also need to change the status. Don't forget that. So thumb status is uploaded now. Yeah, that's good. And then we can simply go ahead and add this thumb and hit the commit. So should be good enough. And now we can actually do a logger.info thumbnail generated and uploaded successfully. This is where I love AI. We can now really rely on the AI for writing this exception because I think it will do a pretty decent job. Let's see. Logger info is good. And the best part, it is also again opening up a session with the engine so that we can mark the status as error. Again, we would have also done this, but let's see. So session is all good. Then we hunt for the thumbnail for that particular ID. It's just a where clause. Thumbnail status is error. Thumbnail message, we can store this as like this, but here's a mistake which can caught you really, really off guarded. You really want to have this slicing going up here. Maybe store just 300 or 400 or maybe truncate the error message to 500. This is a good message. Otherwise, you will caught off guarded. So again, AI is good, control it. Then the session is add thumb and commit. There we go. Nice and easy. Told you. This is a little bit involved code that we have written, but you get the idea. It was not much. We are just generating this image, AI calls, DB calls. Basically 4 or 5 lines, but that's it. It is not yet done. We need to work more on it, but in the next segment of the video. Relative to the last method that we worked on, it was lengthy, but once you understand it becomes much easier. Now we have to define one more method because remember, this is all what we have done for generating a single image. We haven't generated any one of them. This is the job of a manager that we are about to create. So let me show you how that is being done. So let's go ahead and have an async method, which will be responsible for processing all the job. When a user hits the commit or generate the image, that actually is a route which will be responsible for saving all the information in the database, nothing else. Now it's the job of process job to actually collect all these things from the database, call our previous method, which is generate single thumbnail, and call them one by one so that all the images are generated. So anybody who's using it will require me to pass on the job ID in this, that, hey, just pass the job ID and that is it. It works the whole thing. Now here's the interesting part. Let me walk you through with again the steps of how this is going to be done. So let's go ahead and hit a comment there. The first thing that you need is mark job as processing. That's the first part you have to do. Once you are done with this, okay, then we have to find all those thumbnails. So we have the job ID, we'll mark them, but we have to find all the thumbnails that the user want to generate. I'll show you how that is done, but find all thumbnails for the job. That's good. Then the next step that we have to do is start one worker for each thumbnail, definitely up to 3, but we know that it is only 3. So we'll start one worker. How that is being done? Very interesting, but I'll show you that part as well. It's actually easy. Once it is all done, then we simply go ahead and wait for all the workers to finish. That's interesting. How do we do that? And once we are done with this, then we actually go ahead and mark the job as completed or failed. Okay, now this is interesting. In case you have never worked with FastAPI, this sounds like a lot, but it is not. Let me go ahead and close or snooze my AI for few seconds so that we can actually quietly write this, because this could be a bit involved thing. So first of all, what we need to do is remember with session, everything starts with here. So we provide the engine, we get a session, basic stuff, just like that. Now, the first thing is I need to get the session. So I have the session. I will get, what do you want to get? I want to get which job to process. So give me the job based on job ID. Once you have that, let's call this is the job that you have. And this is all the jobs that you have to process. Okay. So for this job, I have a method which is status. I want to mark it as processing. I'm doing something. So remember the step one, mark job as processing. Super simple. We also want to grab some information from it, because as we pass this on later on to create the thumbnail, we might need that. And one of the thing is the prompt that user has given, the headshot URL that user has given. So store them in the variable. Let's start that. First of all is prompt. We can grab it from the job. In case you forgot that, in the model, remember the job, we are storing this prompt and the headshot URL so that we can extract it directly. That's why we are doing it. Very simple. So job dot, this one is prompt. And then we need headshot URL. And we'll simply say job dot headshot URL. So you have both the information now. So session dot, we want to add the job, updated information. Then simply go ahead and commit. There we go. Nice and easy. So this is the part one, by the way. Yeah, but we are not done yet. Once this is all done and committed, the next step is to find all the thumbnails for this job. That's interesting. How do we find all the thumbnails for the job? Again, we still have the session. We have committed the session, but we still have the session in this. So I'll just go ahead and take the session, and I would love to execute a query. What query? We can write the query here just like this. So I want to select from thumbnail dot where, this is how you write SQL by the way, where this thumbnail dot job ID, job underscore ID is equals to the job underscore ID. And this is exactly why we have worked on this model about this backpopulate. Remember, I was discussing about this. This is exactly the same. So this will give me the result, all the thumbnails. There we go. So session.exact, select the thumbnail where the thumbnail ID or the thumbnail job ID. Remember, thumbnail has this job ID, matches the ID that you're providing me. That's your backpopulates. Hope that is getting clicked now. Once you are done with this, I want to grab all the thumbnail IDs. I can grab that super easily. So thumbnails underscore IDs. You can write a classic Python statement in here, which is going to be the t dot ID. So each of the thumbnail ID for t in thumbnails. There we go. We have discussed this kind of a style and writing of the code in Python quite a lot in my Python Udemy course. In case you're not aware of it, this is the loop that you get run over it. Each object is called as t, and then you simply get the t.ids, and you will return an array of all these values. Pretty simple. Looks simple after a while, but this could be involved. Now, once you're done with this, then we have to start one worker for each of the thumbnails. So we need to grab all of the tasks. Now for creating the task, basically we are calling the generate single thumbnail for each of the IDs that we have. We'll use the same kind of mechanism just like what we have used right now. It's much easier and simpler. Let's call this one as tasks. There we go. And the way, again, the same kind of a way we write. We practiced a lot on this one. So what we want to do is for TID, the task ID in thumbnail, no suggestions there. For thumbnail underscore IDs, there we go. So this will give me a lot of thumbnail IDs, and this is, oh, my bad. Copy, paste, this one is better. All right. What do you want to do in this case? In each of the IDs, basically, I want to call this generate single thumbnail, and I want to provide you all the values in this, which is TID. Then I will give you the prompt, which I already have above, and I'll give you a headshot URL. There we go. This is very, very interesting. And for the people who are new, they might be thinking, hey, what is this all going on? Let me show you one by one. So basically what we're doing is we are creating an array in which we are calling this generate single thumbnail. And this one is going to be, let's just say the thumb underscore one. And we are giving this prompt. And then we are giving this headshot URL. So this is what we are doing, but we are doing this actually 3 times. This will be the output. So this one will obviously be 2. This one will be 3. This piece of code, generate, the task will hold this kind of a value. But this is not all done. You have just stored the values that, hey, this is our material, this is our array. We need to run all the workers together. And actually, we can do it multiple ways. We can generate it like, hey, let's just do one by one, or we can do something interesting in Python. Let me show you that. We can actually call these 3 methods all at once. All we have to do for this is await, obviously. And then I can call this async IO. And I can use a method known as gather. I can pass on the reference of the tasks that I have. And I can mark this as return exceptions as true. In case something fails, let me know about that. Isn't it very, very interesting? This is the most important line. It runs all the thumbnails concurrently, not just like thumbnail 1, then thumbnail 2, then thumbnail 3. It runs all of this. So this is interesting. And I guess this is the only last interesting piece of the code. So we have now we have to wait for all the workers to finish, update the job status as they will come. We'll await that here. So notice here, we are waiting for all the workers to finish. Once this is all finished, we have the whole thing with us. So all we have to do now is just open up a session and update the values. Let me do that. Hopefully AI will kick in by the time. We'll get some help with session, no suggestions, as session. There we go, nice and easy. Now, the first thing that we'll do is select all of them again. Can we copy paste this? Because we need exactly this. Copy this. There we go. So we have, there we go. So session.exec, select thumbnails where thumbnail ID, thumbnail.job ID is equals to the job ID. And this time we want all. Yep, that's the one. And previously also we wanted all. Job ID dot all, give me all, otherwise it will not make sense. Okay, this one looks good. We have all the failed ones as well. We will have all the running one as well. So we'll have this method all. So this is a iteratable tool, by the way, in case you are not aware of it. So t dot status, t.status, which will be equals to failed if the status is failed. By the way, I write it this way. A lot of people don't like it, but again, thumbnails, there we go. So for all the thumbnails where the status is failed, this is all failed. This is my value because we have the status now. Okay, let's see in the tasks. So remember, in the thumbnails, we are storing all of this. Basically, what we are doing here in this case is checking if all the task has failed. So we can mark them all as once. So easy. Session.get. This looks good, but I don't know what it is suggesting. Job and the job ID. So we need just that one, and we can hold this one as job. There we go. Session.get job ID. All of that is here. And I can just say job.status failed if all failed, else completed. Nice. This is exactly what I want. If all of my task has failed, then we'll mark as failed. Otherwise, we'll mark it as completed because one might have failed, but rest of all might have completed. So we are okay, fine with that. And we'll mark this as add job and commit. That's it. So this is our manager, which has done the job. I know this is a lot, but the stronger that you are in Python, it will be much easier for you to work on. And especially the things that confuse people are these ones, the arrays, the loops inside them, the generator methods. This sometimes confuses people. But anyways, so this is the last tricky part of our entire application that we have written all the helper function for generating the thumbnails and the process job as well. This is the core meat part of the API that we are building up. The rest of the part we have all done. It is super easy after this. All right, welcome to another segment of the video. And yes, in case you're wondering, yes, it takes days to record the videos and even to plan and strategize. So if you can appreciate that on social media, that would be good. Otherwise, no worries at all. Let me take you onto the screen and discuss what we have done so far and how we can move forward from here because things are really nice and interesting. So this is our code base so far, and just to give you a summary of what we have done so far, quick summary, nothing much more. We have already configured our configuration, which is just to load environment variables. We have done with the database connection so that we can get a session whenever we want. That's the most important part of it. We have also built a few services, the OpenAI service, Imagekit, and the generator. And this is very important to understand that what's the situation right now. So we do have a couple of services. First one is the upload service, which is going via Imagekit. This is nice and easy, but apart from this, we also have another service, which is OpenAI image generation. ImageGen, I'll call this one as that one. And on top of that, there is also a generator service. So this is there, and I think the arrow is not doing any justice in this case. And we have this generation service as well. We are calling this as generator, which is responsible for generating the images. So in case you forgot a little about it, yes, we spend a good amount of time in generating the single thumbnail and process the job. So inside this, we have two ways. One is generating the single thumbnail and one is which is processing the job. And this processing job is the most important thing or the service which is lying up inside the process generator, because this is responsible for creating a job so that we create a thumbnail. Now, right now, there is nobody who is calling this process job so that eventually the generator can either upload a file or can actually call to OpenAI image. So what we need to do now is we need to handle the routes. Routes is where the endpoint of the API resides. And routes are responsible for calling either generator, process job, or maybe sometimes directly these services. So next up, entirety of our focus is on routes and we'll work on that. Routes are relatively easy, but they do also have some boilerplate code. And thanks to the AI, we can generate that boilerplate code much faster. I'll right click onto the backend and create a new file. I'll call this one as routes.py. A lot of people handle the routes within the main file as well. That is totally fine. I don't mind it, but I prefer usually my routes to be separate. A couple of things that we are going to do here is import statements. The most common one, first of all, is from FastAPI. We are going to go ahead and import the API router. We will also import the depends, which is the dependency injection. We'll take the session and mark it as a dependency injection. We'll also need to raise some errors. So for that, we will raise the HTTP exceptions. And apart from that, we will also need upload file, which actually is an upload request where somebody can send us a file and we can just use an upload. And we'll also need the file as well, which is the default file from FastAPI. This is the basic, bare minimum basic, but we will also eventually need a streaming response, which is our server sent events, and FastAPI actually gives you that. This is actually inside fastapi.response, and this is not the JSON response that I'm looking up for. I'm looking up for a streaming response. This is the one which is responsible of sending the server sent events. I'll walk you through in a dedicated section. Don't worry about it. Right now, just want to have the imports. And In most of these applications, you also have some kind of pydantic approach to make sure that your response is always what you are sending, what is expected response, and whatever the input is also coming, that is also following some kind of hierarchy or some kind of a structure there. So for this one, we'll go ahead and import pydantic and we'll import the base model from it. We'll also go ahead and import SQL model, and we are going to import session from it, as well as we'll import the select from it. Select for querying the things and session for interacting with the database. Now let's also import some things from the database as well. So we know that we have this database already available to us. And in this, we want to import what's we are importing? Get session, yes. Don't rely on AI on this part. This is really, really crucial. And I would prefer to keep it a little separate. So because these are, the top ones are actually coming up from the installable libraries, and the second one is coming up from the files that we have created. We'll also need models because we will be interacting, we'll be querying them. So let's import the models as well. So I'll say from models, we'll go ahead and import. The first one is not help, job, and the second one is thumbnail. Don't rely on AI on this one. Now, the next important part is we have two services, in fact, three, but we want to import data from that as well. Let's go ahead and say from services dot, and we have a couple of services. Let's start with the generator one because a lot of things are going to come from here as well. The first one is going to be process job. This is the most important thing. Whoever calls the job makes things actually in the action itself. We also have this job, and we also have this style order in there. In case you forgot about it, let me walk you through again with that. What is the style order? So this is the one. That's it. Nothing else, nothing more. So style order is there. And we also have Imagekit service because we want to have an endpoint where somebody can call and directly upload whatever he wants to upload, images in this case. So I'll go ahead and say from services, and we have this Imagekit service. Don't rely on AI on this one. We want to go ahead and, I don't know what we call this. Imagekit service, upload file, upload. How could I forget that? Upload file. Okay, so these are the things that we have. We can also have one more thing, which is get variants. This is also what we have in here in case you forgot to see that. Here it is, get variants. That's it. So all of our import, now we know what exactly the task that we'll be doing. But there's one more thing that I want to bring in an import, which is logging activity. Now logging is totally 100% optional, but in case you want to have it, then I'll show you how we can do this. Let's go at the very top. We'll import OS because we'll be needing that. We are handling files, so probably we'll need it. And we have this logging as well, which we have imported. Now, by going at the very end of it, all you have to do is create a logger. Whenever you need to do logging, you can do that. And the AI suggestion is actually good in this case. That's all we have to do. By the way, in case you are new to the Python, this is dunder. These are 2 underscores. I'm pretty sure you know about this. Okay. This has nothing to do with routing, by the way. Routing boilerplate starts now. All you have to do is create a router, and this is so much of the boilerplate that AI always suggests good one in this one. And what we want to do further in this is we want to add a prefix there, which is /API. So everything that's coming up with the /API route will be handled up here. So we are prefixing every route with this one. Okay. Now let's go ahead and create some request response schema. AI will hopefully help us a lot in this one. So I'll just go ahead and say request response schemas. That's a good one. So let's go ahead and create a class. We'll call this one as create job request base model. We'll have a prompt. That's good. And apart from that, we'll have a number of thumbnails. That's going to be initialized, not initialized with anything because we have already taken care of these values, and we'll take care of that in the routes as well. And we'll also need a headshot URL. Headshot URL, and that's going to be a string, and that's it. Apart from this, we need more as well. We need to create a job response as well. So once the job is being created, how you're going to respond back. So we'll call this one as a class. This one is going to be create job response base model, and only thing that we are going to respond back is this one in the string format, and that's it. I know I can do more on this one, but don't want to be having here. Now we also have a thumbnail response as well. there could be this is a create job response, but there will be a job response as well. Somebody walks through that. I'll walk you through with that. Don't worry. Let's create one more only as of now. So this one is going to be, come on, thumbnail response base model. We'll have the ID. We will have a style name that is going to be string. We will have a status in this one, which is also going to be a string. We will have an Imagekit URL, which is going to be a string, and by default it's going to be none. That is also totally fine. And apart from this, we will have error message, which will be string. None is okay. We'll also go ahead and add a variant. Wait, come on, I can write that. Variants, and this is going to be, it can be list as well, but I think a dictionary would be better. All right, again, this is just a Pydantic. In case you have seen my Pydantic playlist, that would be okay. So this has nothing to do with the APIs. Now let's write our very first API for uploading the image. So first of all you have to do is take this router. We will run through a post request, and inside the post request, the URL that we are following up in this case is going to be upload-image. Anybody can hit this URL. We don't have any, or let's call this one as upload headshot, because that's what they are uploading. Upload headshot. Now this is the basic. Now all I have to do is create a method here. So looks nice, but this is okay. File, let's just read this once. Upload headshot, seems good name. File is going to be given to us. Upload file. And by the way, this upload file, yeah, this is exactly the one. And FastAPI directly support that. No need to add anything further on top of that. And take all the file, grab all the files that we have once we are here. Now, here's the interesting part. Whenever you are actually uploading the file, there's one interesting thing that you have to do. Don't rely on the AI on that, is await. It takes time. And what we need to do is file.read. Yep, that's the only thing you have to do. Now you can take this into contents. This is your contents. All the file content, their path, their name, metadata, everything comes in here. Now, how do we work further on that? Nothing, just call the method that you want. So this is our upload file service that is available to us, and all we have to do is provide the values. So for example, the first one is going to be file bytes. Yep, that's the one I'm looking for. Pass on this content as it is. The contents that we have stored, pass it on as it is. Then simply go ahead and have a file name. You can actually pass on as file.filename. So whatever the file name that is converting, our service is already taken care of renaming this or something. But in case you want to be more sure on this one, you can just call this one as headshot.jpg, or can add more values into this. You get the idea. You can actually make a better one in this case. Now, apart from this, we also need a folder. So we'll always keep all the headshots in the headshots folder. That's decent. You can change them later on with the user ID or something. And we also have this content type. We'll go ahead and call this file.content type, which gives us, or we can just pass on this image.png. This is what we are supporting. Totally, it's super, super easy. There we go. Now, oops, don't want to scroll there. Now, once we are done with this, with the upload file, why are you having an issue? Did I forgot anything? Probably a last comma. Yeah. Okay, why are you having issue? It was not closed. But we have closed this. Anyways, we'll see that. So once it is done, it will give me back a URL and I can just work with that. Why is it having an issue? Upload file, we have all of this. This is here. Shouldn't be bothering me like that. Let me go ahead and cut this out for a second and paste it again. Ooh, looks like I am missing something. Let me check that quickly. Got it. I was missing a comma. I'm pretty sure you might have already seen that. But anyways, now once this is done, all we have to do is simply say return URL as URL, and that's it. Now you get the whole picture. Let me take you through the diagram. So this route now has an endpoint which can actually call this directly as a service, and we are able to upload things on the Imagekit. So you get the whole picture idea. So in the whole ecosystem of FastAPI, what you do is basically you create these lot of services, and that is the reason why it is so fast. The entire architecture of most of the fast API application is creating these services, this service, and all of these service. And your route is responsible for just calling the service, and it is so easy to work with that. Your majority of time goes into writing these services, which is also not much time. Once you write it for the second time, this is actually ridiculously fast. So this is basic. Now let's do one more thing, which is going to be tiny bit more involved, but you will learn about the dependency injection as well. So far, there is no dependency injection because it's just uploading the file. But when it comes to the database interaction, things goes very interesting. So for example, let's just say we have this router. We will work on the post request itself. And somebody says that I'll hit an endpoint, which is going to be a job. Nice. It can be jobs as well. Again. Now the response model, the way how we are going to respond back after executing everything is going to be create response. And that is why you create this create response job, all these things. So these models are actually created for this one. Okay. Now, after this, let's go ahead and create an async method, which is going to be simple create job. Thank you for suggestion. And I can actually hit a tab in this case, and you will notice that the request that we are receiving is going to be a type of create job request. So every time a request comes up, it automatically goes to a pydantic validation and says, hey, all the job requests that comes to me should have a prompt, a number of thumbnails that you are supporting, and a headshot. That's it. On top of that, we are also requesting a DB here as well. This one, I don't like it this way, but again, it's the same. I'm just rewriting the code to make sure that you understand. Once this is all being available to you, then the next thing that we expect is going to be a session, which is a database. This is a dependency injection. So I can say this session is going to be of type of session so that FastAPI knows it's a type of database session that we are having. And then by writing depends, it goes into the dependency injection. And here I can say that I am dependent on get session. So this is the method. Without this method, I don't want you to even run anything for me. And that's it. Told you, super simple. If I go ahead and write a pass for a second, this is the entire architecture of how you handle the dependency injection. Probably the easiest one. Now, one thing we have to validate and check in this case is we are only supporting the thumbnail between 1 and 3. Of course, 1 is included, 3 is also included. So let's quickly go ahead and check that. So if the request that we have, inside this, we will have a num thumbnails. This needs to be less than 1 and or it should be not less than style order. That could also be there. This is a really nice code actually. But we can actually go ahead and write request dot num thumbnails. It should be greater than 3. I can use length. This is actually better, but I'll not do that. Once this is done, then we are going to simply raise an HTTP exception. And the best part is all the status code, all these things are actually available to you by default. So that's it. Told you how easy it is to actually validate things in this one. Now, once this is done, then we have to create a job first, and that needs to be added in our database. So let's go ahead and create that. This will be a job. This will be created by the job model that we have, just like that. And here are all the things that we need. So first of all, prompt, that's going to come from request.prompt. That is nice. Then we have number of thumbnails, request of number of thumbnails, looks good. We have a headshot URL, which is request.headshot URL. We can have a status as pending, but I'll not do that. I'll keep an exercise for you. Try to see what happens if you do that or don't do that. But anyways, you can create a job. No big deal there. Once this is done, we already have a session because this is a dependency injection for us. We can just add a job in here and that's it. It's added in the database now. We can commit it, refresh it, all of that, but not right now. I also want to commit after a minute. I want to make sure that all the jobs are actually separate. I'll show you what it means by that. The code is actually much easier to show you. Once we are done that, I also want to have styles available to me. So I'll take this style order, request dot number of thumbnails. So we are kind of dissecting it. I hope that's an easy code for you. This is anyways a simple piece of Python code. Let's just say, for example, somebody is saying that give me only one thumbnail. So in that case, I'm just slicing it so that I get only the first value out of it. Give me the nth value only. For example, if in our generator, we have all these things, somebody says just generate one thumbnail. So I'm just saying, hey, out of this entire styles, just give me the first one only. That's it. So pretty basic. Now that I know that how many number of styles are there, I can just loop through this. So let's go ahead and loop through this for style and styles. And I want to create a thumbnail for all of this one. Uh, this is okay. Yeah, this is actually okay. But anyways, so this one is going to be thumb. We are going to go ahead and create inside the thumbnail that we have. And here all I have to do is write simply a job underscore ID is going to be equal to job.id. Yep, that's the one. And the style name is going to be style, and that's all I want to add. This can be added inside the thumb here. Session.add thumb looks good. And once this is all done, I can just go ahead and commit this. That's it. So what is happening right now? I have a job which I've already added in my job table. Now I'm actually consulting my thumbnail table also, and I'm adding all these styles that, hey, how many thumbnails needs to be created in here? Because in our model, if you remember, we are actually having this job ID in here. So we are creating these fields. Pretty basic. I don't think we need to spend more time. Now we need to run every single of this task or the job ID and put that into the process. Who does that? Very interesting. If I go into the generator, this process job actually does that. It's the job of process job service. We don't have to think about it again because we have done all the job that, hey, how it is going to take every single job ID and work with that. All the logic is set. So now what I can do is once I've committed this, I can come in here and async process job. This is like a run in the background. So I can just put a comment and I'll say this one is usually called as fire and forget style of generation. We don't worry too much on that. So async IO and yep, async IO dot create task. And this is going to be process job that we are calling in, and we are providing this the job ID. Now, why this is bothering? Because we never imported this. Let's go ahead and do that. Import async IO. And that's it. One job. It actually runs the create task. Don't want to do that, create task. It creates the task and that's it. Now, once this is all done, then we have to simply return create job response. And there we go. We provide this job ID as job ID and that's it. Told you, super simple. All the mechanism of the business logic goes into this process job where we worked on there. And now async IO just create a task. It creates all the task and just forgets about it. Rest of the part is handled by the process job. It needs a job ID. If you remember while generating, it needs a job ID. We are providing that, and rest querying the database and everything, it handles on its own. Even the status of changing from pending to everything. That's it. Now there is still more, a couple of more things that we have to do, but we are going to do that in the next segment. All right, now in this video, we have last two things which are required for a discussion's sake. The first one is very basic. We will have an endpoint. We will respond the endpoint by querying the database. Pretty simple one. The second one is where we talk about the server sent events, which is also really, really easy in FastAPI. And you'll be surprised at how easy it is. First, let's do the easy part. So what's the easy part? I want to have an endpoint, which is /job/job ID. Anybody who gives me an ID, I look into the database and send them a response. Super easy, nothing big deal there. AI can help us in writing a lot of that. So we can simply have a router, and it really knows that we want to do this, but I don't want to do it this way. So router.get jobs and job ID, that is good, but I don't want to further have anything apart from this. So I'll close it there. And then it says the response model. We don't have any response model. So I think for this particular thing, we should have a job response as well. Let's close all of this, I think. Yep. And let's actually create that. We should have created that earlier, but anyways, now that you know why this is being useful, it is much easier. So we'll have a simple class, which will be job response, which will be based on base model. And in this, we will have an ID as int. Apart from ID, we will have the prompt, not like that. So prompt is going to be a string. We will also respond back the thumbnails, which will be an integer. So that's good. We will also respond back a headshot URL. Good enough. Status in the string and all the thumbnails, which will be a list of thumbnail response. Good enough? I guess so. Okay, now let's come back again. So this time we will have a router gets jobs slash job ID, and we have a response model of job response. So now that you know why this is important and why Pydantic is important in this case. Anyways, so after that, let's go ahead and create a simple method which says a get job, which will require a job ID, a session. This is what I love about AI. I can spend so much amount of time in other things rather than just typing. And wherever it is deviating, I can just guide it. So this is dependency injection that we want. And now, first of all, we need to query in the database that whether we have a job of this ID or not. So that should be super easy. In this case, we can have a simple session. And in the session, we will say that, hey, in the job table, do you have any, in the job table, do you have any job ID? And we don't want all of this. I don't know why is it going with all of this. If this is there, I want to just store this into a job variable. That's it. Don't do anything extra. And yes, this is my bad. Job.get. Don't want to dictate anything. There we go. Okay. If this is not present, then there is a problem. So if not job, then I'll go ahead and raise an HTTP exception with the status code 404, job not found. That is good. Okay. What do I want to do next? Next, I want to actually execute a SQL command that, hey, select all the thumbnails which are there where this matches the job ID. Okay. How can we do that? Should be fairly simple. So I'll store all of this into thumbnails because we have many. And through this session, I can actually execute a select thumbnail where thumbnail.jobid is equals to job ID, and I want all of them. All right, that's it. So now at this point, I have all the thumbnails available to me, but I don't want to respond it just like that. I have to craft a response. So let's go ahead and have this. So for this one, I'll go ahead and create an array which will store all of these responses, because that's what I said that, hey, I'll respond you back. And in this response, I will have all the thumbnails, which will be a list of thumbnail response. So however the thumbnail response is, I have to actually give all of this. Okay. Let's go here. Where is my thumbnail? Oh, we didn't use it. So thumbnails response is going to be like this. I think we can call it as better. Let's call this one as thumb response. Don't do that. Thumb response, that's good to hear. And for thumb in thumbnails, so each of the thumbnail, I'm going to call this one as 40 in thumbnails. This is much shorter. We first of all will get all the variants. That is good. After that, we simply go ahead and append the array that we have with the thumbnail response. All the values looks great because it has the context from, that's why Pydantic is important. You should have the context of all of this. So there we go. Nice and easy. Okay, so we have all these values being filled up. Nice and easy. Now we have to return a response. So this is also pretty good. We'll return a response, job.response. It should have an ID. We should have a prompt. We should have number of thumbnails that we have, headshot URL. We should have a job, status job, and the thumbnail response, and that's it. Told you. This one is easy part. We just querying the database and returning a response in a particular format. In case you are doing it just for fun, you can respond whatever you like. Now here's the interesting part. This is the basic. Now, very excited. I know you're very excited for server-sent events, but while seeing the code, you'll realize, is it that's it? Yes, it is that much. Okay, so we have this router.get, and we will say that we have this router.get, and we'll have a slash jobs slash, and we need a job ID in this one. And after that, we will have a stream endpoint. All right, good enough. So this is our decorator. Inside this, we will have an async method, which will be saying define stream jobs or job. That's good enough. Provide me a job ID. Don't do this. Provide me a job ID with the type of string, and that's it. Don't have to do anything else. Okay, this part is good. Now inside this, you have to create a method. Let's call this one as method. I'll later let you know what this method actually does. So this one is just an event generator, just like this. I'll add a pass here. And in order to make this a streaming job or a server sent events, here's what you have to do. You have to return a streaming response with this method event generator. And let me show you that by actually taking this onto a separate line. This will be much easier for you. Okay. And moving it here. There we go. So the first response is the event generator, who is the method which is responsible for generating the event. This method. Right now it's not doing anything, but eventually we'll do more on this one. The next one is media type. Media type should always be text and event stream, but it is still not done. You have to actually pass on some special headers. Without those headers, you cannot make it event stream like that. So go ahead and put this. Now, the first thing is cache control is no cache. That's good enough. The connection needs to be keep alive. If you don't that, the connection gets automatically closed by the client. You need to keep alive. If you pass on that headers, then only you can go ahead and stream. There's also one more recommended thing which is given to by this, which is XXL buffering. We don't want to have any buffering. You can read more about it. I'll leave this as a simple exercise for you. So that's the basic. So this thing makes anything as a streaming job or a server sent event. Server can keep on sending the events there. This is it. FastAPI is ridiculously good in this case. So this is it. This is all that you have. And if you wish, you can actually indent this a little bit to make it nice and easy. A method which can keep on generating the things, a media type which is text, event stream, and some headers. The most important part is the connection alive. That's it. That's all you have to do. All right. Now comes back to the part that how we are going to actually loop through this. This is what we need to discuss here. So what's our plan of action? What's the strategy here? First of all, we need a loop. Yeah, this loop needs to keep on going on in order to make sure that we are streaming the events. So, all right, we'll get the loop. Each loop will get a thumbnail. All right, I can query the database, get the thumbnail. Once I have this, I have to run again. For each thumbnail, I have to do certain task. What's that task? So the thumbnail can be of couple of types. Thumbnail might be already sent to the user. We don't want to send it again, or it's a new thumbnail, or it might fail as well. So if the thumbnail is new, then in that case, it's uploaded. And we simply want to send thumbnail ready. That's what we want to do. And if it is new plus failed, in that case, and I should say it is new plus uploaded, it is new and uploaded, then we want to send the thumbnail ready. But if it is new and it has failed, then I want to send thumbnail failed. Okay, good enough. In other case, there will be if all done. So all the thumbnails that you asked me to build, they're all done. In that case, I want to send a job complete message to you. And I want to exit the loop, and then that's it. And I want to keep on doing all of this every 1.5 second or 1 second, depends on how you want to go with that. So every 1.5 second, I'm running a loop which gets a thumbnail, which gets the thumbnail. For each the new thumbnail, I check whether this is a new and uploaded, if it is new or failed. So these are all the things we have to work on. It looks like a lot, but it is not really. Let me show you, walk you through this whole thing. And probably for this one, we'll skip the AI part. I'll snooze this for a few 20 minutes so that we can write peacefully. Okay. So this is the event generator method in front of me. The first thing that I have to do is import the DB here. Now again, this is an event generator, and this is very interesting. In most of the cases, we already have these database models and everything up here. But since this is a loop, I don't want to worry about the scoped things and all of that. I will, and this is a common practice in such cases, that I will go ahead and import things right in here. Very common. In the Python ecosystem, at least. I'll go ahead and say, give me the engine. All right, good enough. Now I'll create a set, which is going to be my sent thumbnails. Why set, you might be asking? Because I don't want to have a duplicate in that. Okay, that's the basic. Now what next you want to do? I want to keep on running a loop. So this one is going to be while true. And don't worry, don't get scared of the loop which is always running. We want to intentionally keep it always up and running. So don't worry about that. It's totally fine. We'll handle the closure part of this loop. So this one always is up and running. Now the first thing that I want to do is with the session, I want to find this job ID. So we have this job ID available to us. Find that. So I'll just go ahead and say with session as session that we have. Okay, I do have access of session now, and I should actually provide an engine here. Otherwise, how it will work? Engine as session. Okay, once this is here, this session will help me to get a job from the database. So I'll say session.get, get me a job with the job ID that I'm providing you. All right. Let's store that into a variable. Let's call this one as job. Good enough. Now, if there is no job, then we want to yield the error that, hey, job not found. That could be the case. So if not job, we couldn't find the job, then in that case, we will go ahead and yield a simple thing that is event, just like this. And so that frontend can actually easily handle that. We'll go ahead and pass on an error with the /n, and then we'll add data here, and the data will look like this. And we'll go ahead and say JSON dot dump. All right, JSON dot dump. Okay, why are you having an issue? Let me check that. JSON is not defined. Probably we need to get the JSON here as well. We can import the JSON. Let's do that at the top. No need to do that in just the file, because I think that's a global import, so should be up here. Anyways, so once we are here, where we are, here it is. So in the JSON dump, I will just go ahead and add a simple key, which is going to be error. And the value is going to be job not found. Good enough. We can add a couple of slashes and everything. And if that's the case, I want to return from here. That's it. We get exit. All right, good enough. But what if I found this job here? If I found the job, that means I do have a job ID as well. That's great, nice and interesting. So this one is good enough. Now what we can do furthermore on that. Remember, wherever whoever is hitting this, it already has a job ID available. Okay, we just verified it. Good enough. Now let's go out of this. And in this place, we want to again have a session, which is going to execute a query. Which query do you want to execute? I want to select. What do you want to select? From the thumbnail table, where all the thumbnail with the given job ID that is given to me in the function itself matches with the job ID that is given to me in the function. By the way, this is coming up the model. This is one that is being provided to me in the function itself. And I want to grab all the values of it. So there we go. And that should be not here. My bad. That should be here, .all. There we go. Okay, once we have all this session as executed, I will have all the thumbnails here. That's good. Okay, once I have all the thumbnails, now I have to just loop through them and look for whether it is actually available in the sent thumbnails. If it is available in the sent thumbnails, the set, don't do anything. This is what we discussed. If it is sent already, don't do anything. If it is new and uploaded, we'll send them. If it has failed, we'll do something. Anyways, okay, looks good enough. So time to loop through the values. Okay, so for T in thumbnails, good enough. What do we want to do? If t.id is actually available in sent thumbnails, we'll keep on adding there. Just don't do anything, hit continue. Okay, let's check for another condition. If t.status is actually equal to uploaded, that's what we are sending it. Okay. If it is uploaded, then we need to grab all the variants and have to send the response. Before sending the response, make sure you add it in the send thumbnail as well. Okay, so let's do that. First of all, we'll grab all the variants. How do we grab that? We simply have a method. Remember, get variants, we build that. And all I have to do is send t.imagekit URL. That's it. You have all the variants. Remember in the generator, we have, not in the generator, we have in the Imagekit service, we have get variants. You provide me the base URL, I'll return you all this. Super easy. Okay. So this part, we got the variants. Now we want the data. So how we'll craft the data? Simple. We'll use the JSON dot dumps. Okay. Craft all the data in the key value pair. So this one will be thumbnail underscore ID. How do we get the thumbnail ID? Super simple, t dot ID. That's what we have. Okay. AI is super helpful in this case. Style underscore name. This will be t dot style name. Not that bad. I can write that. And then we have this Imagekit URL. This will be given by t dot Imagekit URL. We provide the actual URL as well. And last we have variants. And this will be t dot, this is not t dot variants, this is variants. There we go. Okay, so this part is all ready for us. Now we have to yield this. Remember, all of this is going through the yielding. Yield. And we will send an event just like this. And this event will say thumbnail ready. And in the next line, let's go ahead and pass on this data as data. That's it. And then once you are sent this, then go ahead and take this send thumbnails and make sure you use the add method to add this ID there so that next time we don't do this. Okay, this part is done, I guess. I know this is a little bit longer, but we are just speaking out loud and trying to see what we are doing. So this part is all done. So this is all done. Now what happens if it failed? So if it is new and uploaded, we send the thumbnails and put this into our set and don't worry about it. If it is new and failed, okay, let's worry about that. So in the else case, we're going to see if the t.status. Okay, why are you not suggesting me this? I think I can have space here. That's good. We are still inside the loop. We have this t.status as uploaded. So similarly, we have t.status. I don't know why is it not suggesting me. If it is equals to failed, then we have to do something. Ooh, that's bad. Okay, why this is not going good? Let me quickly check. There is an indentation issue. It's my bad. It's not going to be else. It's else if. Okay, now it's good. Okay, now this is the case where we are having the t.status as failed. So remember, we are having this already being sent case. We are having this as new and uploaded. Remember, for each thumbnail, new and uploaded, sent is all done. Now new and failed. Okay, so in the case when things are failed, we just want to send a JSON response that, hey, this is all failed. So I guess we can actually use this whole data, copy that and paste that because this is what we want to do. JSON.dump, thumbnail ID is going to be the same. Style we can actually provide. We don't have this Imagekit URL and variant now because it has failed. So instead of that, we will have an error. And we can actually technically provide an error with the error message because we are storing that in the database. And then we can actually yield this and work with this. So this is going to be yield thumbnail failed. And we can send the data and also add this in our set so that we don't again process this. All right, good enough. Okay, let's check that. Now, if all is done, that means we are out of this loop. So we can shrink this and we can shrink this as well and come back in here. So we are out of the loop now. In that case, what we have to do? This means all is done and everything is processed, send job is complete and exit the loop. Oh, and we have to do it again and again. So let's do this. So we will have this all underscore done where we'll store everything. we do have this all method available for us in the t.status. In, we have to check this. So we'll go like this. Again, this is a little bit interesting in case you have never seen this. So we have uploaded, comma, failed, 40, 40 in, come on, 40 in thumbnails. So we have processed all them. Either it is failed, whatever it is. So all the status is there. Okay, I know a lot of people, and especially when you're new in Python, this syntax actually bothers a lot. It bothered me even as well. But if you have taken up my Udemy course there, you might be thinking, hey, this is all done. So if all done is there, and the length, we need to check one more, sent thumbnail is equal to the length of thumbnails. So basically what it's saying is, if we have something in the all done, that means we have something values in that, uploaded or failed. And this is checking whether the sent thumbnails, whatever we have sent, is actually equal to all the thumbnails that we got from the database. So if all of this is matching, that means, hey, it's all done as a job. These are two verifications that we have, and we can just simply say that, hey, now we have a data which says all done. JSON.dumps. And in this, we can say and pass on an object just like this and can say job underscore ID is going to be job ID. And we can provide a job status as well because we are storing the status. Let's do that. And we can say job.status. There we go. And if it is all done, then we can simply go ahead and yield. We don't have anything. This is going to be like the same event, and this time we'll say job completed. We can also provide, just for consistency's sake, we'll provide a data as a key, and the value is going to be data. That's it. And once we are here, we can simply go ahead and return. Now here's the interesting thing. You want to keep on doing this, which is going to be, here's the interesting thing, but for this, we have to keep on looping through the values up here. Once we are done with all of this, here's the interesting thing. I have to get out of this one. So I'll just go ahead and enter this. I need to zoom out a little. Sorry for the smaller text, but this is how Python works. And in here, I can just go ahead and say async IO. All right, we have to put up a wait here. So async IO, go to sleep for 1.5 second. That's good. So I hope now you can see what's happening. Although this loop is in the loop, this whole thing will be done again and again, but we are making sure that this async IO makes sure that it only happens every 1.5 second. So we are sending the data every 1.5 second and sleeping the async IO for 1.5 seconds. That's nice. I hope you got the idea. And once this is all done, we do have these return statement, which completely breaks this while loop at multiple cases if things goes bad. So we have this uploaded here as well, and all of this, and final return statement just brings us out. Very, very interesting take on how things can be done. A little bit tricky as well. I would say it's not that easy, but hey, this is server sent events, and we have a couple of things going on in this one. So that is it. Now your basics are all done with how the server sent event actually goes and works. I hope that was cool. Take your time, learn this, understand this. There's a lot of processing that's going on, lots of steps in this. The code is not hard. It's actually lengthy code and it has a lot of processing that we are doing, a lot of steps that we are doing. That is it. Let's catch up in the next section. All right, so this is going to be a short part of the backend because, hey, we're done with the backend. Okay, believe it or not, but this is all the backend that we have. All you have to do is now just fill up these values and fix up your main.py. Now in the main.py, you don't need too much to worry about. It is all just assembling all the things at one place, and I think AI can help us a lot in this one. So if I don't even snooze that, they should actually work. Okay, first of all, A couple of things you need to worry about. First thing is your async context manager. Remember, we have all the models and tables. They're not automatically created. Async manager is responsible for creating that. Also worry a little bit about your logging because we have introduced the logging in this one. And also worry about your course middleware because, hey, we'll be sending the request from different endpoints. So that's it. All right. So let's try this. Let's worry about logging first. There we go. We also want to have from context lib. Let's go ahead and have the context manager. Let's actually handle this first. Actually, let's also bring in FastAPI. So from FastAPI, import FastAPI, and the very first thing, we'll bring in the routers and everything. But first of all, let's create an app, which is going to be a FastAPI. Let's also add a couple of title, YouTube thumbnail generator API, and we have to add a lifespan, which will be not like that. I'll come back in a second in here. But first of all, let's add this async context manager, which will have a method known as lifespan. You can name this method whatever you like. And inside this, we don't want to have any logger or anything. We just want to have a create tables, and let's import that. Hopefully it didn't imported that. It just gave me a fake of importing. So yield, there we go. Okay, we know that that's going to come from the database. We are going to import create tables. Okay, and now in the lifespan, I can mention this lifespan. That's it. All of my tables are created. That's the first thing I have to worry about. All right, good enough. Now, next thing is, since our request is going to come from variety of endpoints, we have to configure our course. So FastAPI makes it so much easier that in the FastAPI, there we go, suggestion middleware.course and the course middleware. Once we have this, now I can actually configure this. There we go, app.course, and these are all the things that we have to get. Let me walk you through what this is all doing. First of all, this is the middleware which is responsible for handling the course. Now in the allow origin, the star is usually a bad practice, but again, if you're just in the development, that's okay, nobody's going to bother you. But I would say that since we are making the application, which is going to run on port 5173, which is the native port for Vite application. But if you have any others, just add the comma separated value. Allow credential true is important so that we can play around with cookies and all these things and pass on the bearer tokens and all of that. Allow methods, we are allowing all the methods and all the headers, but sometimes people restrict it with only get methods or only get post methods, however you want to work with that. Now, next thing that we have to do is hand over the routing because our routing is written in the routes folder. So we have to make sure that our application is aware of that. So wherever we are importing this database, let's go ahead and say from routes import the router. Good enough. And once this is done, we can just say app dot include router is router. That's it. Told you it's a very, very boilerplate code, and that's it. That's all you have to do. And your application should be ready in theory. And yes, I tested it. I showed you the demo earlier while starting off the video, but this is all it takes to have an entire application. Now, let me close all of this and give you a summary of what all we did because I think that is very much required at this point. All right. So when you first time build FastAPI application, it looks a lot, but it is not. The way how the mental model works in the FastAPI is build everything in the chunks and focus on building your services. That's the most important part. The config file will always remain exactly same. It will just have some more values or some less values and maybe some database URL from the environment variable, or if you're using SQLite, doesn't really mean much here. So that's always going to be there. Your database file will always exactly remain same. The most important part here is that go ahead and get the session. This is part of every FastAPI application. Maybe there are some configuration less or some more, but this is the basic part. You create all of your tables by creating SQL model, metadata, create all an engine. You pass on that and it creates all the table, but the tables which are marked as table equals to true, only those are being made. So this is the basic part. Then you go ahead and design your models. What do you want to store in the database? That goes into the model, and we got the thumbnail and the job. We have just two models. Then we also talked a little bit about the relationship as well. Relationship in the SQL model probably deserve a separate video. If you ask, just let me know in the comment section. I'll add that. Relationships are very interesting in SQL model. They're very easy actually also. Once we are done with this, this is the boilerplate setup. After that, you focus on writing your services. And we worked on a couple of services like image upload. This should be fairly easy. We have like what, 5 lines, 8 lines, something like that. And then we also worked on get variant, which is also nothing big deal, just some hard-coded values. We also worked on OpenAI services, super easy, generate a thumbnail which pass on couple of prompts, and this is just one liner. Yeah, technically if you ask me, rest of all is just configuration. We just have a one line of code. Whatever the response we get, we store that response and just return back the base 64 image. That's all. We do have a generator helper, which is like a manager for managing the Imagekit as well as the OpenAI. It generates a single thumbnail. It actually marks the process job. So it starts off generating the images. So this is it. And once everything is done, handle your routes where you define various endpoints, which can be there or doing variety of jobs. Interacting with your database, get some value from the database, sending it, and applying your business logic. This one was a little bit overwhelming. I totally understand that. But the gist of it is that this is the streaming response. This is the server sent event. What you're doing inside it, you could be just sending a hello after every 5 seconds or 1 second. Don't really mean much. But this is your server sent event. And once this is all done, assemble everything through the main file. And the most important part is the context manager. You provide that as a lifespan. This is the most important one. Add the course policy so that your front-end application can work with this. Pretty simple, very basic. And then after that, simply say app include router so that your router also comes. But make sure you understand one thing, that every single route that you have is not going to be running just on localhost. It will be running on the localhost colon port number slash whatever you have mentioned here. So in this case, slash API, we have prefixed it. So keep that in mind. And that is it. With this, entirety of your fast API backend along with Imagekit, latest OpenAI model is all done. Now, in case you don't want to watch the front end part, that's okay, because front end anyways, we are going to speed run it. Only the API handling I'm going to walk you through. Rest is just classes and buttons. I'm not bothered about much about them in the age of AI especially. That is it for this video. Let's catch up in the next one. All right, moving on to the front end part. Just want to remind you again, this is not a front end course. I do have other playlists and Udemy course on the React and all those ecosystem, but this is just to get you enough of the basic start that even if you have watched any course or crash course even on React, you can still follow this along. Again, reminding you, this is not a complete front-end course. The course was focused on fast API rather than the front-end part of it. Still, I want to give you enough of playing ground and getting started guide with that. So with that in picture, I hope everybody agrees on that. Let's go into the front-end part. So this is all done in the backend part. In the front end, let's go ahead and open an integrated terminal. So we are in the front end now, and we would use Vite. There are a couple of ways how you can actually initialize your React application. You can do this through the classic npm init way as well, but I prefer to have Vite integrated and configured. I can use npm or bun as well. Bun is a little faster, so let's go ahead and use bun. Again, it doesn't really matter. They are all packagers and ecosystem doesn't really matter. I'll use bun just for no big reason. All right. So now what I'll do is in the front end, I do have this activated as well. So I guess I can say deactivate and deactivated. Let me just find the command first. My bad, I was doing a typo. It is still deactivate, but for some reason I was just writing it bad. Anyways, so now I can just go ahead and copy paste the command again. So copy this and we can come back here and bun create Vite should create a Vite application. It will ask me a couple of project. We'll call this one as Vite project is good enough, but we want to have the current folder in itself. So we'll just put up a dot. It will be a React and we'll be using JavaScript to just make sure that it's accessible to everyone. Feel free to use TypeScript as well, no big deal. And we want to start with Bun. Yes, please go ahead and start that. The installation is ridiculously fast and should be all done. And our application hopefully is running on port 5173. Hopefully, copy that, go up there, and there we go. Looks decent, not bad. Now, here are a couple of things that you have to do while configuring the application. Now, it is very clear that our application is going to talk to the backend. So this is how it works. So this is going to be our FastAPI backend. So this is FastAPI backend. And here we go, we have a React based application. Now, both of them different port, different URLs. So make sure you worry about that. Now, although we have configured our course so that we accept requests from this URL itself, and our URL is also able to handle the response back, that's nice. But for the local development, what we can do is open the front end, go into the weak config.js, and place where we have this plugin. Just below that, we can actually configure the server URL. There we go. We have an option of server here. Now in this, we will add a property proxy, and inside the proxy, we'll just say our API is like this, and one more, there we go. So what this will do, every time we make a web request to /API, it will automatically proxy that on this URL, and that's it. The backend will feel like the request is always coming up from this URL. That's nice. That's okay. Okay. So how we can work on that on top of that is whenever we send a request, we need to also handle that how you're sending the request actually. So for this, I'll walk you through how the web requests are being made and what's the expected response and how it is all being done. So inside the source, I'll create a new file, and all of this will be in the api.js. So every time you need some data, you just call the methods which are mentioned in this file, and they will be responsible for hitting the endpoint of the backend, get the data, and serve you in the front end. This is pretty easy. The standard process is, first and foremost, you go ahead and define the API base. And in our case, the base URL that we have is going to be simply /API. So whenever you make a request to /API, this is API base, it will automatically be localhost, whatever is the name of that. All right. So that's the first basic part. Now it is very important to understand that how this whole routing ecosystem is working and how we'll be making the web request. This can be done better here. So what we are configuring and how we are configuring this is in our React ecosystem, let's just say we make a web request to something like this, localhost / 5173, because that's the default one. It can be 5174 as well, but anyways. So on this, we are making a web request on /API/ let's just say we are making a web request to jobs or upload headshot. And your React will always feel that I am making a web request to this endpoint. But in our application, we have configured a proxy that, hey, whenever you see the /API, go ahead and replace the URL with this one. So what ultimately will happen, instead of this, we make a URL to this one. As soon as it sees, it actually forwards the request to this URL. We change the URL. That's the whole mean of the proxy. That, hey, whenever you see /API, just replace it with this one. So it will go ahead and replace this whole URL with this one. But remember, our /API and whatever you're passing on doesn't get replaced. It just matches the pattern. If you're hitting the /API, that's it. On this one, I'll just replace it with this one. So remember, in our backend also, we have made sure in the routes that we are prefixing everything with the /API. So this part is also handled. All right. Hopefully that is good. We are always making the request to this one, /API/jobs. But as soon as it is being encountered that /API is the route, it goes ahead and replaces the URL with this one as mentioned in the proxy. And the /API rest of the route remains same. So we are just saying, hey, this is our base URL that we are having. Okay. So this is the basic. Now let me go ahead and show you that how we are going to make a web request here. That will help you to understand it a bit more. So first of all, let's just say we export a method, which is going to be something, let's call this one as upload headshot, and in which we get a file. All right, very basic, no big deal there. Now, whoever is calling this method needs to send me a file data type. You can extract the file from however you like. But if anybody sends that, I will first and foremost create a form data. This is standard 101 way of handling the files on the front end side. Once you have this, we are going to go ahead and say form. Uh, let's just call this one as form, not the form data. Form is good enough. Form, and we can just go ahead and append the file just like this. There we go. So we have extracted the file and added the file actually in the form, and we can now send it. And now once this is all being done, let me skip that. The next part is to simply get a response, and we are going to get a response by first of all await, fetch, and notice here how the URL is being designed. Slash API base, that's the URL. We are making a web request to this one. And then we simply call upload headshot. Now, where is this upload headshot? Let me walk you through with that again. This is important. So after the slash API, the URL that you are hitting is this one. So post method slash upload headshot. This is the URL we are hitting. Once you hit this URL, then you have to provide me some data. First of all, method is post that you are supporting, and provide me the body which has the form. And once you are done with all of this, then first of all, check, don't return it directly. Go ahead and check that if the response is okay, or let's just say if the response is not okay, then we are going to throw fail to upload the headshot. Otherwise, we return the JSON. That's it. That is all we have to do. Now, this part, especially when you have the base URL, it looks a little bit like, are we doing this like this? Can we hit the request just like slash API like that? Yes, you can actually do that. This all magic is via the React configuration. Once you have the proxy marked, once you have the slash API, this will be replaced just like that. And we are hitting the request just with the upload headshot. Pretty interesting. And I totally understand that a lot of people don't get it. Okay, but we have never seen the URL just like this. It's okay. It's okay. Let me show you one more time. If I copy this, whenever we hit the endpoint, this one, this goes to the proxy. Remember, the proxy setting is whenever you hit slash API, not the whole URL, you don't need to do that. The proxy, I'll write it in caps, the proxy comes into the picture and transform this URL into localhost colon 8000 slash API. This will be transformed like this. So either writing slash API or writing this are exactly the same thing. There's no difference at all. And I know this one actually bothers a lot of people that, oh, why is that even? Why can't we write just HTTP whole thing? Because we have added the proxy. This is the most common way of handling the things in the production. Again, this thing, I know I can understand that it's a lot, especially initial level, but that's okay. I hope you get it now, especially these discussion with the on the eraser. This actually helps you to understand, okay, this is happening. So slash API, you hit that, proxy comes in between, it transforms into localhost colon 8000 or whatever you have mentioned in the proxy, in our case, HTTP localhost 8000. The slash API still remains there. And after that, you hit the slash endpoint. So this one is HTTP colon localhost 8000 slash API. And there we go. Yeah, I know this is a bit of an interesting one. But as you see, this is easy once you understand the URL part. Let's go ahead and see that how we can create the job. So for that, we'll also go ahead and say export, and we'll say async function, not the get headshot, which is create job. We just want this one. And in order to make sure that we create a job, there are a couple of things that we need to pass on. So make sure you destructure that. Whoever is the method that is using this, the first of all is prompt. We need that. We also need number of thumbnails that you're using, and a headshot URL. Headshot URL. There we go. Once you have this, I'll just close this so that it makes it happy. Then we simply have to make a web request. In this case, it's not a job, so that's a bad one. We are hitting the endpoint just of job. If you can't remember that, that's okay. I understand. Just go into the routes. This is the jobs. So we are hitting this. So once we are hitting the job, then obviously we need to pass on other parameters, like method always needs to be post because that's what we are supporting. We also need to have some kind of headers as well for this one. The content is application JSON. That's all what we need to have. And there we go, separate that. Okay, after that, we need to have a body, which needs to have all these options. Looks good. Oh, by the way, there's one wrong thing here. Let me just walk you through with this. So prompt is prompt, but if you look at the backend part, I just saw it there. So in this, we are expecting that we will have this request will have the num underscore thumbnail. So that's the one part of it. And the headshot URL is also going to be headshot underscore URL. Okay, no big deal. We can have it. So number of thumbnails, we'll call this one as num underscore thumbnails will be num thumbnails. Headshot URL will be headshot URL. And that's it. That's all what we have. And now, why are you giving it me again? No, we don't want to close it. Or probably we should. This one is okay, res okay, and throw the error, fail to create a job, end this, and return the response. That's it. Told you, it's super, super easy once you understand, and AI helps a lot. But we understand every line of code. It's not that AI is writing, we are guiding the AI that, help me, I don't want to type it. Okay, that's the one part. Now here's the interesting part. If you remember, we are also handling the server sent events. The how you handle the server sent events on the front end, that is also interesting. Let me show you. It's actually easy, but it's interesting. So we'll go ahead and say export function, and this function is going to be subscribe to job updates or subscribe to job. Interesting, but it can be any. Now here we have the job ID, but not just on update, we are actually receiving a whole bunch of updates here. In case you forgot that again, remember, this is our streaming jobs. And if we open up the function, remember, we are sending a whole lot of things here, all these things. So thumbnail could be ready, thumbnail could be failed, a whole lot of events that we are emitting in this case. And we can do a lot better job in this case. So thumbnail event is thumbnail ready, all these things. I was thinking that we can actually make it a little bit better. We should actually make it. So since we have to handle this in the front end and each of the events will come, let me just go through with this along with you. So we have this one, job not found, that is okay. And here we are sending the event, so yield this event. So wherever you find this yield, that's where we want to worry about. I think if we mark it as thumbnail underscore ready, it will be easier for me to handle that. And also there should be one more /n that will make life a little bit easy. But again, no big deal. We can just have a /n, no big deal. The important part is thumbnail underscore ready, so that it's just a one word, not two words. And if I open this up, similarly, we have thumbnail underscore failed. That will make our life easier. We are yielding it here as well. So let's get the job underscore completed. And that's it. That's the all event that we are handling as of now. Okay. So we are handling all these cases. Let's handle them one by one. And how we mark them in here is that there are a couple of events that will handle there. So first one is on thumbnail ready. That's the first one. Then we have on thumbnail ready is the one. Then we have the failed as one. I'll show you how to handle that as well. Don't you worry. Then we have on job complete, and there's on error. And we have to make sure that whatever we are marking here, it should be handled here. The next step is pretty easy. Now we have to create an event source. The event source is pretty simple. We have the job, and again, we have to mark this URL as it is. It's jobs/job ID and then a stream. Okay. So it has a jobs, then a job ID, and then not the events, it's a stream. So make sure your URL is good. Once you have access, come on, let's do it here. Now, once you have access to this event, now you have to handle multiple of the events that can be streamed, and based on that, you want to do something. For example, on this event source, let me just write this as ES. It will be easier for us, event source. Now this event source, I want to have an add event listener. Where you want to add the event listener. This is why I mentioned them as thumbnail ready. So event that is streamed is thumbnail ready. We will receive an event, and in that we'll just say that on thumbnail ready, we will just parse the event data, and that's it. Told you, it's not that hard. There we go, and we'll work on. So this is the event thumbnail ready, which needs to match with the event that we are passing up. So remember, this is the error. That's okay. We will handle that. And this is the thumbnail ready. So this is the event that we are passing up, yielding the event in the stream. In this event, whatever the data comes up, this data is handled here. So in this event, this is the data that we are passing up, and this is anybody can listen on this on thumbnail ready, and we are marking this that. Pretty simple, classic JavaScript 101. Now AI can help you a lot. This is the only meat part of the course. Now we can add an event listener on thumbnail failed, same stuff, repeat. Then we can have an event listener on job complete, same data, same parsing, and that's where I love. We can actually close this event that, hey, everything is complete, mark this. We also need to have an event on error, and on event, we need to close this here as well. Nice, easy boilerplate. There we go. And that's it. We can also mark this as return, but I don't want it return to be like this. We'll just return an ES, event source. That's it. Told you. This is very interesting. I know this is probably first time you're seeing how to handle events, but basically what we are doing, oh, do I have a typo in this? I guess so. On error, let's fix that. Okay, some caps lock and all of that. Okay. Yep, that's the one. Quick fix. Okay. So basically what we are doing, we are listening event source. So this is our source. We are listening to a streaming event which keeps on sending us some data. And for each of the data, there could be possibly few cases like thumbnail ready. And usually these are set up in an enumeration or some other file that, hey, you get the event type from some other file like constants or enum, and you work with that. And you get the reason why we actually do it, because writing them like this is not a good idea, because this same file needs to be shared with the front end guy also. So thumbnail is failed or the job is completed. All these things needs to be same, and these are passed up here. Oh, job complete. This will never listen to this. This is job completed. Okay, so this is the one on job complete. We'll receive the job completed as event listener because that's what it is mentioned up here. Job completed. Make sure you mark them as closely. And that's it. That is it. That is all your logic part. Now you can just go ahead and work on in the front end part. That's not a big deal. Let's keep it this much here in this section. So in this video, the last and final video of this entire big long video, the final section, I want to discuss something which is very expandable in this project. You can take this project to really next level. And by the way, in case you're worrying about this, I've just written the remaining of the React. Again, this is not a React tutorial. I wanted to focus more on the FastAPI and the possibilities of what you can do. So basically what we have done is in the app.jsx, we have assembled some of the components that we have. They are very basic one, the upload form, which just uploads the form, handles the submit. That's just the 2 lines. And in the app.jsx, we have all the upload headshot, create job, and subscribe to job coming up in the home component. And then we are simply uploading the headshot, then creating a job, and then subscribing to the events so that whenever they are ready, they are available to us. Once the data is available to us, we just loop through it. Simple steps. Now, where I want to bring your attention is what we have built just right now, because it is very important for you to understand that what are the capabilities here. So first of all, we took the headshot, and this headshot can be anything. And we took the help from Imagekit. So headshot is going to the Imagekit. Now also another important layer here is the OpenAI latest model. The OpenAI Image 2, I'll call this one as Image 2, they also call it. Now these two combination can be really, really amazing. For example, you can actually build another amazing project. The first one is the Headshot Pro, which is a really nice and interesting project in which people upload their headshots and it transforms them into something which can be uploaded on LinkedIn. It's a really nice service. People actually pay for it. Not only that, you can actually build your own marriage or something like that. So a marriage photo pro. Somebody uploads their photo and you just color correct them, make them more vibrant and make it available immediately. That could also be a nice app that you can build. You can also build a product photo shoot. Somebody just uploads a photo of their soda can or an ice cream or a jewelry, whatever they are going, and you can just put an instruction in the prompt that use this photo and get this jewelry better, or get this jewelry, a model wearing this jewelry, or maybe a soda can in the hand. It's all about your prompt. I hope now you can understand the project that we have built has immense amount of potential, but you have to just modify it and think from a wider perspective. That's all you have to do. The tool is available with you, the source code is available with you. The only thing that's remaining now is your creativity, how creative you can be. And what I want you to do is not just fulfill this application, actually, a couple of things. So, first and foremost, is make sure there is an auth available in this project. That's the guide 101. Once the authentication is available, don't just create this project as it is. Try to modify this project into something like this, or maybe anything meaningful. And all it's going to take, the segment, the code, everything is going to remain mostly same. The UI will change a little bit, the aspect will change a little bit, and the prompts will change a little bit. So go ahead and modify this project and enhance it. I will not call it as modification, it's more enhancement, so that it becomes a portfolio worthy project for yourself. And once you're doing this, and if you're watching it somewhere else, because this video is going to go at multiple places, please make sure that you go ahead and tag me on Twitter and Chai Code as well. Once you tag this, I will select randomly 3 people, will reach out to you DM, and I'll only check that whether you participated in this entire project by putting up a comment in the YouTube, and I'll ship you just an encouragement thing. 3 t-shirts I'll ship you, and the only criteria is you should be in India, because that's where only I can ship as of now. If you're watching this as others, ignore this part. You don't have to do this activity. If you do this, this will be fun. Only thing is you'll not get the t-shirt, but that's it. I just wanted to have something for you as an encouragement, as a thanks gift also. So go ahead and do this. And I really, really want you to actually use the superpower of FastAPI and React. They're super nice, super amazing. And AI is already giving you so much of the power. It's just an extra service that you have to add in your application. Now you know server sent events, how to handle the server sent events, how to make a web request, how to handle FastAPI as well. That's it. This video took a really, really lot of amount of time to record, to plan, and to execute. So a thank note in the comment section would be enough. If you still don't want to do it, that's also fine. We can still be friends. That's it for this video. Let's catch up in the next one.